Hello, everyone. Good morning. Okay, sorry for the delay. Okay, I think we can start. Okay. First of all, did you all complete the questions of loops and nested loops? Any doubts in that? Any doubts in those questions first? We can complete that, and we can complete functions today. Let me quickly share the screen. Diamond question. Okay. Apart from diamond question, any other question? Anyone stuck on any other questions? Number rotation. Okay. So I'll explain the number rotation again. Inverse pyramid. Okay. Unconditional cell loop. Any question from here? Apart from, I guess, number rotation. Any other question? Optimus prime. Okay. Check prime and then Optimus prime is nested loop, right? Okay. So no questions from here apart from just a revision of number rotation, right? Okay. Then we can go to nested loop directly. Star pyramid, Optimus prime, and diamond question. Okay. So we have 3 questions. I'll revise I'll revise all the concept that we did yesterday, so don't worry on that. We'll go through a quick revision first. That will anyways do. Okay, let me quickly like go through what we did yesterday. So okay, so we started with like understanding about loops. So we understood about what loop is, how loops work, right? And then we try to see about like questions on loops. So we firstly understood about a concept known as ASCII. So what is ASCII? Basically, every character in the code is represented by a number, right? Now this number is fixed, right? And this number is coming from a character set known as ASCII character set, right? So, for example, small a is represented by the number 97, small z is represented by the number 122. Capital A is represented by the number 65, capital Z is represented by the number 90, and so on. Capital B 66, capital C 67, and so on. So every number is represented, every character is represented by a number. Now this we can use, for example, let's say we want to check whether a character is in a particular range of characters or not, right? We want to convert a digit into a like corresponding digit in the number system, right? So if you just just write that digit into integer, so it will get converted into its ASCII value. But if you want to convert it into integer, we can use arithmetic operations, which is like similar to how we use arithmetic operators on numbers, right? Same, we can use like the arithmetic logic of addition, subtraction to convert any uppercase into lowercase character and lowercase into uppercase character. Okay. Now, then we did a question known as number rotation. What is this? So we were asked to rotate a number, right? Now, what does a rotation number means? That we want to move few digits from the end to the start, right? So what we did is we took 2 numbers as input and we wanted to find out, like we wanted to rotate the number n by k times, right? So we can rotate it like 10, 20, 30 times. So we basically will bring in every rotation 1 digit from the end and put it into the start of the number, right? Now, what we did, so firstly, the first thing was to, do we actually need to do these many rotations? Actually don't, right? Actually don't need to do these many rotations. We can do lesser number of rotations. Now, how lesser number of rotations would work? So basically, see, so if you are rotating a number, let's say a 4-digit number 12 times, so you're going to get the same number, because after every 4 rotation, the number is going to become same, right? The same concept we used over here. And we firstly, what we did was we found out the number of digits and we found out exactly how many rotations we need to do, such that like all those rotations will be skipped where the number will become itself again, right? So you just need to do percentage this, so that let's say it's 15 and the number digit is 4. Okay? So you're trying to do 15 rotations on a 4-digit number. So till 12 rotations, you're going to get the same number, right? Do, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, do 12 rotations on this number. You're going to get the same number, because after every 4th rotation, the number is going to be same. Only the last 3 rotations are going to give you a different number, right? So the last 3 rotations are going to give you the number that is your final result. So till the 12th rotation, you still have the same number. So you don't need to start by rotating like 15 times or something. You just can rotate for the last 3 times and you'll get the result. So same thing we did over here. Now there was one thing, if the given number is negative, then you have to do left rotation. So I simply told you that consider a situation where you are doing this is -1. Instead, you can do one left rotation, bringing one number from left to the right, or you can do 3 right rotation. That is also same. Or if it is -2, you can do 2 left rotation or 2 right rotation. It is same. If it is -3, you can do 1 right rotation instead of 3 left rotation. It is going to be the same number, same result that you are going to get. Okay, you can validate this for any numbers, right? Any size of numbers, this would be true. This would hold true. So what we did, so instead of doing another left rotation, what I did was I simply told that, okay, let's add the number, count of digits to this k that we have reduced, right? So the reduced k that we got after doing this percentage, we just let's add the count of digits. So now, once we add the count of digits, what is going to happen is it's going to get converted into this thing, right? Which is number of right rotations we need to do. So even if the number is negative, we just can do the right rotation and we'll still get the correct result. Okay. Now, okay, once we got, let's say we got the k, how many numbers we have to rotate. So you can, one way is you can pick one digit from end, move it to the start, another digit from end, move it to the start. Now that is a long process, right? That's you have to do so many steps again and again. Now, instead of doing that, what I did was I figured out, okay, let's say I have to rotate 3, make 3 rotations. So what I need to do is I need to divide this number by 1000. Okay, that many zeros. The quotient is going to be the first number and the remainder is going to be the second number. So first thing, so in order to do this, first thing I found out was this 1000, right? What is this 1000? How will I get this? So this is equal to the number of digits that we have in this part. So the number of digits that we have in this part, which is k, right? The number of rotations that we need to do. So we just found out this 1000 by multiplying 10 into 10 into 10, which will give us 1000 since we multiplied it 3 times, right? That is k times. Now, next, okay, we multiplied it k times. What's next? So here what we need to do is we need to find out both the numbers. So I told you, right, the quotient is going to be your first number and the remainder is going to be your second number. You got the first and the second number. Okay. We got first and second number, we got the count, everything is there. So what else we need? So now here, let's say we got everything. Now we need to we need to add this, join these two numbers in the reverse order. Like we need to make the second number first and the first number second. Now how this joining can happen? Firstly, you need to add as many digits that's there in the first number into the second number. So for example, first number has, let's say, 3 digits or 2 digits or 1 digit. So that many zeros is going to get added into this number. 3 zeros, 2 zeros, or 1 zero, depending on how many digits are there. In this situation, there is only 1 digit, so I need to add only 1 zero to this number. And now, how did I do that? Same, count the digits of this number, first number, counted the digit of the first number, and then added that many zeros into the second number. Then, so we got the second number. So we got 2340. Now just add the first number to it. Just add the first number to it, which you will get the result. So this is the result after rotation. So every small concept, count the digits, how do you join two numbers, like how you find power of something, 10 to the power like 4, 10 to the power 3, all those concepts that we used over here. Okay, so you have to think it step by step. This is a very tricky problem where you have to granularly think about what's next you have to do, and you won't get from you can't think directly of a solution that, okay, I'll write this and I'll get the solution from here. That won't happen. You have to think it step by step, and then only you'll get the solution, right? Understood? Clear? Doubts? Yes. No doubts. Okay, let's go forward then. So we have sorted notation. Then we learned about sorted notation. Sorted notation is just a shortcut way of writing it. Okay, it is not related to the unary, binary, ternary thing that we learned. So it is a shortcut way of writing the expression that we write, like a equals to a plus 10 or a equals to a minus 10, so that we can write in a shortcut way a plus equals to 10. It's here like it is a binary operator plus is a binary operator. It doesn't change anything. It's just that we have written it in a shortcut way. Okay. Next, what is unary, binary, and ternary operator? So there are three types of operators that we have. First is unary operator, which is works on a single operand, like increment, decrement, or the logical NOT. Then we have binary operator, which works on two operands, right? So we have plus, minus, into, divide, greater than, less than, greater than, equals to. So all the operator that works on two operands, and then ternary operator, which works on three operand, that is only one, question mark and colon operator. Okay. Okay, we saw examples of this. I explained you what this is. Then we check the logic of right. We saw how we can find a number is prime or not, right? And I told you from the most. We started with n 1 to n. Then we went to from. Okay, how did we improve this? So that steps are missing, right? So we started from 1 to n. Then we okay, we can run the loop from 2 to n minus 1, right? And then we also okay, from n minus 2, n by 2 to n minus 1, there is there is no factors, so we can run from 2 to n by 2, and then finally we reduce it to 2 to square root n. That is the most optimal approach to find a prime number. Okay. We understood this one in detail, and then we saw nested loop. Right. So nested loop is basically a loop written within another loop. Now this is used for doing two kinds of work. One is running some logic again and again, like finding prime numbers in a range, finding factorials of all the numbers in a range, finding sum of digits of all numbers in a range, count occurrence of factors of each number, right? So all those things we did over can be done, right? So basically doing some logic, the logic is fixed, and that we are doing using a loop, right? Doing some logic using loop again and again. Next thing is how, okay, so this is one, what's the other? So other thing is pattern bending. So pattern bending is little bit tricky, right? So basically you have to think, you are given a pattern and you have to think how you can get this pattern by running a nested loop. So the simplest rule that I told you that you have to follow is the outer loop will run for a number of lines or number of rows that you have in code. So that is the outer loop. That's how the outer loop is going to run, and inner loop is going to print the number like each line of the pattern, right? So the number of lines you have the pattern that will run, that outer loop will take care of, and the inner loop will print each line of the pattern. Right? So I give you examples. For example, let's say this pattern. So here we have how many lines? 5 lines. How many times the outer loop is going to run? N times, right? As many lines. Okay. Then inner loop is going to print the number of values in each row. So we run the inner loop from 1 to I, because for each row we have I values. So for I row we have one I equals to 1, we have 1 value. I equals to 2, we have 2 value. I equals to 3, we have 3 value. I equals to 4, we have 4 value. I equals to 5, we have 5 value, and so on. Okay. For this loop, okay, for this one we have like okay. So this one we are printing from I equals to 1 to n, again same number of lines is n. J is again running from 1 to I, because each row we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, right? Relation of I over. See, so basically the inner loop that you have to write always, right? Inner loop that you always will write will somehow be related to I. Okay. So the inner loop that you always write, it will be related to I. So this I. So basically, how will you get this I? So see, so in each loop, so you just have to check in each line how this is related to I. So it can be, so for example, take this row. Okay. So how is this row related with I? So for this row, I equals to 3. So that means, and how many values it has? 3. The inner loop will be running for 3 times. Okay. And it will always be related to 3. Either it will be I or I minus 1 or I plus 1 or n minus I or n minus I minus 1. So this will be the relations, right? That you'll find. For inner loop, this is going to be the relations with I. Be it for anything that you have to print in that line, you will be definitely having a relation that is there with I. Okay. Today we'll solve some complicated patterns, and there you will see these kind of relations also being there. Okay. Yeah. Next, what other? So see, next thing is we are having some starting value that is changing over every iteration. Now, is it also related with I? Yes, this will also be related with I. Somehow this will also be related with I, and it will also follow one of these things, right? N minus I or N minus I minus one, N minus I plus one, something like that. It will follow, right? Some mathematical expression related with I that it will follow. It might include N as well. Okay. So, okay. So here, so for example, what is this relation? So it starts with I and it increases by one. So our printing, we have started with I and we are after printing it, we are increasing it by one every iteration. Okay, done. That's it. चलो, let's solve a few questions.
तो एक बार ये फिर से समझा दीजिए सर, ये वाला,
ठीक
ये
है।
हमने P equals to I ले लिया यहाँ पे।
So देखो यहाँ पे क्या करा हमने। So first loop, so the rules that I told you, those two rules are fixed. ठीक है, that rules are not going to change. So outer loop is going to run for number of lines. So which how many rows or number
So
of
five,
lines? Five.
five
So
will
outer
take,
loop
yes
is
sir.
running for n times. ठीक है.
Yes sir.
Inner loop is going to run for the number of values we have in each line or number of values we want to print in each line. The number of values that we want to print in each line is
equal to number of value, like it is equal to I.
I, right.
Yeah.
So it's equal to the row number, right? So row number is 1, so we are printing 1 value. Row number is 2, we are printing 2 values. Row number is 3, we are printing 3 values, and so on. So it is equals to I. So see, so here we have written it that for we need to run it I times. Okay, because so for if I is the row, we want to print I value. Okay, we got these two loops. Now, what is the value that we actually want to print? So now that value is actually varying. That is not one like earlier we saw patterns like 1, 2, which was I, J, which was I. So we cannot print I or J. That is not going to give us the result. So what's the value? So the value is starting with so let's check. So for row number 1, it is starting with 1. Row number 2 starting with 2. Row number 3 starting with 3. Row number 4 starting with 4. Row number 5 starting with 5. So in general, I can say it is starting with I. Okay, and it is varying by, it is increasing by +1 every iteration. So what we can do is before starting to print, we can start by I, we can print it and we can increase it by 1 every iteration.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so all the things that you need to do in each row, right? All the things that you need to do in each row will be related to a number of values you are printing in either row, the starting value of the row or the ending value of the row. So that anyway it will be related to I. You just have to figure out that relation, and your all will be done, right? So these two things you already know how to figure out, and what you have to print. If you just figured that out, so you're done, right? So let's use this concept on complicated patterns and see if it works there. So it would work, but yeah, let's see examples. Okay. Now I gave you one task of printing this one actually for characters. Now did you all try this? Anyone got the answers? These two patterns I gave you. So let's start with this one. Then I'll go to your assignment doubts. Okay, same question over.
This is the assignment question, no? This A, B, C, C, D, E.
This
I've done this.
Okay, so let's say here also we have same kind of logic. If we have I n, right? So if there is a given n, we have to print n number of lines. So take outer loop is fixed. Outer loop is going to run for number of rows or number of lines we want to print in the pattern. Okay, chalo, that's done. Easy part. Now inner loop is going to run for the number of values we want to print in each line. So for I equals to 1, we have 1 value, 2 values, 3 values, 4 values. So that is also simple. For every row, we just want to print I values. So it will start from 1 and it will go till I. Okay, I value. Achha. Now what is the value that we actually want to print? So what I told you, character patterns, you don't have to think in terms of character patterns. What you can do is you can start thinking it as number pattern. Okay, so just think it as number pattern. So start with by thinking that, okay, A is nothing but 1, B is nothing but 2, 3, C is nothing but 3, 4, 5, D is nothing but 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is exactly the same pattern that we printed above, right? So what we can do is we can start with the same logic that our starting value is P, which is equal to I. Let's start with I. We print P. And space. And we do system dot out dot println. Okay. Let me run this. Oh. Okay, so we got the number pattern. Now, how do we convert this number into character? So we already know ASCII concept. So, okay, if A is 1, B is 2, what is the value that you need to add to make this into a character? So what is the character, like what's the ASCII value of capital A? 65. You just need to add that. Okay, that's it. So you just need to add 64. So it's 65. So 64 plus 1. So 64 plus 1 will be 65. Now, will it work? No. Actually, if you do this, it will print you the numeric value, that you will not get the result. 65, 66, 66, 67, 67, 67. Actually, I will not written the increment of data. Let me write that. Okay. So we are seeing 65, 66, 67, 68, 69. Right, that's working fine, right? Like we expected. The only thing is that is missing is that we don't have it as character, so we can do typecast into character. That's done. Okay, so we got the result, right? Now, is it in this question? No, there is one small problem still. So let me show you that. Let me try to print this pattern till 30. Okay, you have to run this. See, are you seeing some random like special characters over here? Now, this should not happen. Why this happened? See, so for the line number 1 to 20, like till the time where we are printing till Z, it was fine. But as soon as we exceeded Z, what happened was we started to print those special characters, because like those were 91, 92, 93 were these special characters, and then we had like A, B, C, which we don't want to print, right? So this is the problem over here. Now, how can we solve this problem? So see, very simple solution. What you need to do over here? Think first for the inner loop, that is printing each line. How can you solve for the line, and then we'll think of this, how we can solve it for the starting one. Okay, so we have it in two places. One is like when we have it inside the line, right? So how we can solve this? Acha, tell me, what do you think? How we can solve this?
Sir, we can put a simple check. If I equal to 26, then we will reinitialize it with 1.
Okay, so you're telling if P is okay, P is greater than. So I'm doing it before this println. Okay, so if P is greater than or equals to 26, then we'll reinitialize it with 1, right? Not equals to, right? Greater than 26. So let's run this. See, it solves the problem for here. Look at it. So when Z is becoming this, okay, Z is becoming this, it goes to A, Z is becoming this, it goes to A, Z is becoming this, it goes back to A, right? After Z, you are seeing A. That is fine. But there is a problem over here. See, for when the Z is greater than 26, so here also for line number 27, it is greater than 26. Line number 28 also, it is greater than 26. Line number 29 also, it is greater than 26. Line number 30 also, it is greater than 26. So it is starting with 1 in all these lines, but it should be A, B, C, D, E, and so on, right? So
we can do this if like the number is greater than 90. Okay, sir, I have written the code. I've texted it.
chalo, let's think of something that we have already used. So we used a modulo thing. Okay, just think it in this way. So for let's say when the number is 20, so let's keep on increasing P, right? Then number is, let's say 27. What you want to change it to? 1. When the number is 28, what you want to change it to? 2. When the number is 29, you want to change it to 3. 30, you want to change it to 4, right? So on. Yes. If the number is, if the number keeps on increasing, you want to get 5, 6, and so on. So how will you get this? So you'll get this by just doing that P percentage 26. Done. Now check over here. You don't even need to write anything. P is equals to P percentage 26. If P is exceeding anything, you'll just do percentage 26. If P is within 26, you're not going to see any problem, right? There is one edge case over here. So the edge case is here. See, so there is one at the rate, right? So this would be not actually 26 because we are starting with 1. right? So we need the value 26. 26 is valid, right? 26 plus 64 is 90, so which is fine. So we just need to do it percentage 27 because 26 is fine. 27 will be the correct one, right? So because we can get 26, that is fine. You can now see is that okay, still getting at the rate. Now what's happening over here is when P
Here, what we can do, 65 plus I minus 1,
that we
percentage
can do,
26.
let's just stick with with 64. We can, I guess, do it. Percentage 26. So we need to write it below it. Now that would be scenario. Yeah. So let's say we start with this. So we have to write this checks in two places actually. So if it is exceeding this, then we have to check it over here and then over here. Or in other ways, what we can do is we can start do this 65 and do this with I minus 1. And now percentage 26 would work fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay, see. So what we did, okay, let me just sum up. So here we added 65, and our number, if this is 65, what's the largest value that we can have? We can have largest sum p value is 25. Okay, 25 will work because 25 plus 65 is 90, which is z. So 90 is fine. We cannot go beyond 90. Now let's say this is 25. This becomes 25. Okay, after increasing, it becomes 25. We do p plus plus, it becomes 26. Next iteration, what we'll do? Next iteration will do 26% is 26, which is 0. So we'll give 0 over here. So 0 plus 65 will again go back to a. Now we'll increase it to 1. So, okay. Now what happens for 0% is 26. So if you do divide 0 by 26, 1 by 26, 2 by 26, 3 by 26, all of them are going to result in 0, 1, 2. Nothing is going to change. What was wrong in the last one? So in the last one, see, when you're doing percentage 26 with P and you're adding 64, right? So what's the highest value that you'll get from here is 25, not. So the range of value of P will be 0 to 25, not 0 to 26. So you're going to get till only 70, get till only 89, not, you'll never reach Z. You'll only get the value till 89. Okay, let me show you this. If I do this with 64 and I have this, I to see what is going to happen. So that plus 1 minus 1 case is there, right? So see, you're going to get till y, you're not getting z. Y and then you're getting some at the rate, you're not getting z, right? So for that, what we did was we started with 0. Okay, instead of like starting with 1, we started with 0. P value is starting with 0. And we added 65 instead of getting that 1 from here. Okay. So now this is like we are having PS0, we are adding 65, which makes it a. PS2, we add 65, makes it 2. PS2, 3, we add 65, makes it C, and so on. Right. Okay. Now if I run this, we'll get the correct result. We have done percentage. So every time we exceed, so let's say we are exceeding in the row to Z, we are come back to A. So every time we exceed, before printing, we are checking whether we have exceeded or not. No matter we are exceeding from the start itself or we have exceeded from here. When both the cases, we'll just do percentage 26, which will trim it back to the number it should be, right? So for example, while running this loop, let's say we exceeded. So for example, we got till Z and we exceeded over here. So we'll again check, and before printing, so we'll reduce it. And let's say we initially gave it a value like 26, 27, 28, 30, 50, because I can be 50 as well, right? Because I can start with 50, so we gave it, let's say 50. So that point of time, we are also trimming it before printing. So we do percentage 26, we'll get the correct result. So A, B, C, D, we are getting that. Okay, fine. Let's copy this. So I guess you have a question in the portal, which is similar to this. Do it for 90. Okay. See what is happening. So firstly, we are going from A to Z, right? A, B, C, D, up to Z. This is fine. This is still 26, line number 26. Okay. Now from 27, we are doing percentage 26, percentage 26. So again, we are getting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, up to 52. So this is for line number 52. So 52, again, we went back to like, Z, right? So which is Z. Okay. The first 26 is A to Z, then next 26 is A to Z. Okay. Then over here, again, for 53, again started with 1. So like 0. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4. and so on. So we again went to Z, and same, this will keep on continuing. We'll go to Z, and then we'll again start with zeros. We'll again start with A, B, C, D, and so on. Understood? Yes. No?
Yes, understood. Because when I was submitting, no, I was getting one error. So that's the reason I included this, that if character is equals to 90, it should reverse back to 65.
Mhm.
Because it was, I was getting one this
So
case
see,
one
for
part.
first, so if you subtract it, right, instead of doing this percentage, if you do a subtraction, that if it is greater than 26, subtract 26. So that is like the immediate idea that you get, right? So if P is becoming greater than 26, then you subtract 26, right? P minus 26. This would work, but only up till 25, 52. Beyond 52, this is not going to work. Once it becomes 53, you subtract 26, you are going to get 27, which is again going to start giving you those special characters that you don't want, right? So, and if it becomes 100 or 1000, then again subtracting 26 will give you some larger number, and you'll get some special random character. So instead of doing this, you can do percentage. So no matter how large the number becomes, will anyways our P is going to be in the range of 0 to 25. So whenever you want to restrict the number to a particular range, the best idea is always percentage, because percentage guarantees you whatever the number is, whatever input is, this remainder is anyways be in the range of 0 to 25. It cannot exceed 25, right? If you do any division with 26, the remainder is always going to be in the range of 0 to 25. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So let's check the question over here. Fibonacci, which question is this? Character, I guess this one. No? Print continuous character. Yes, there was one thing that was like, let me check whether I'm corrected or not. Let's print it till 50. You can see. So in this expected output, what it has done, actually, there is a mistake in this question itself. So what it has done actually is it is not circled back. See, so yeah, so it is only getting till 26. And I remember this. There is one question where it is like going back, right? Yeah. So it is like it has given the input constant is 26 TK. So it has given it is 26. It's not going to be there. So TK, this in this question it's not required. There is another question, print character pattern. I guess this in this question there is you have to circle it back. No, here also it's given 26. So which question was that then? Okay, let's check for. So these ones are easy, right? These ones, even if you do write this logic, okay, this one, not this one, the same, right? This is same. So even if you write this logic, this is going to be fine, right? That is pattern 3. Okay. So if you write this thing, it's going to be no problem. It's going to be fine, because we are handling that additionally, right? So it's so if we are handling this additionally, it is telling that it's not going to exceed 26, then that's good. But if it exceeds, we have handled that situation, right? It is not printing spaces, so we don't need spaces at all. Yeah, and now we can submit this. It's working. Even if you don't write this, it is going to work, because here the range of number that is given to you is up to 26. So it is telling it is not going to exceed it. So it's going to be fine. There is something for 24. Oh, correct. See. Okay, here it is for 24, it is circling back. See, so even though it was giving an expected output something different, here it is circling back. So in 24 we have Z. What did happen? Yeah, Z, and then it is going to ABC. Oh, so there is some mistake in this question. I remember as I kuch tha yahan pe see. So it is, even though it is in that it was giving, but when you are submitting in the actual correct output, it is mentioned differently. So here it is circling back, right? So you have to check them and you have to circle it back. It is not following that 26 constant. So even if the input constant is not up to like not going in each line, you are exceeding, right? In each line we are anyways exceeding, so we have to check that. We need to cycle it. We need to cycle it. But in row it exceeds Z, so in row we have to cycle it. But in column also it is cycling it. See, let me show you this. It is not only cycling in row, it is also cycling in column, because we would have got the wrong result for each column. Acha, ठीक है, rows wise it would never need to cycle because it's 26, will at max go till Z. But ठीक है, column wise we just need to cycle it. See, if you just place this logic, so there is, you can write this logic at the end of this loop, and then again you can write it at the start of this loop. Okay, or you can just write it before printing. This handles both the scenarios. So what I'm talking about here is, if you write it over here and then you write it over here, so this will also work the same way. Okay, so what you are doing, if the initial value is greater than 26, then you are telling, okay, let's come in the range, we print it. If we, after increasing it, if it goes beyond 26, then we cycle it back, right? So this is like, you can write the same statement two places doing the same work. Now here in this particular question, if you remove this statement as well and you just write it at the end, it would still work because the number range is given as at max 26. Okay. So if I submit this, so this should also still work because it is telling that it is not exceeding 20. See, but if you write it over here, it handles both the situations for the row, for each row, and then for the like number of rows wise, it handles both the places. Okay, let's say that this one is the best solution because it would handle both the places. And if the input is greater than 26, you don't have to do additional additional handling of this. Okay, got it? Clear? Yes, no? Okay, let's move to this question then. Okay, no doubts, right? Okay. So in this question, this is even easier. So again, same logic. Let's try to write it here directly. So what we want to do is we want to convert it. So this one everyone has done. Anyone has any doubts on this one? Is this anyone doubt for anyone, or shall we skip this? Pattern 3, yes. This is not doubt, right? Skip. Okay. So, okay, if this is not a doubt, then we can skip this one. Then this. See, if any one of you has doubts, right, don't hesitate to tell me it's a doubt. Okay, I'll anyway solve. Even if it is for any, even it is for a single person. Okay, for me it doesn't matter, right? If I have doubts, I'll solve it. We have time, right? I'm not in a hurry to do anything. We have time. We just need to cover functions today. I just need 1.5 hours for that, not more than that. So we can solve pattern questions. Pattern 3. So now here what it is asked. Okay, so this is like the question that you're telling. No, this is like the Fibonacci.
Yes, sir. Please solve this Fibonacci pattern, sir.
Okay, and there is no other number pattern, right? There is no other number pattern question. Okay, so there is no other number pattern. So okay, we can start with this. Okay, see. So we have okay, so here it has explicitly told you that you are given an n and you have to print the number of rows in each line. Now let's see what is this. So this is nothing but a Fibonacci pattern. That's why I yesterday told you about a Fibonacci series. Fibonacci series, what is Fibonacci series? So a Fibonacci series starts with like 0 or 1, right? So these are the two numbers that you are given, and then you find out the next set of numbers, which is, so it is sum of the first two numbers, the next number, then this is the sum of, sorry, sum of the first two numbers, then the next number is sum of first two numbers, or previous two numbers, then this is the sum of next two previous two numbers. So every number is nothing but the sum of its previous two numbers, and that's how we get this result, right? So we keep on adding this, we'll get 22 and so on. Now if you check this series that you are given, so this is nothing but the Fibonacci series, 1 0 1 1 2 3 5 8 13 21 34 and so on, right? So this is the Fibonacci series. You have to print the Fibonacci series, but not in like the normal order, but you have to print it in the pattern order. Achha. Let's first start by thinking of the Fibonacci series. What's the easiest way to print it? And then I'll go to the pattern order. Do you all know this? Was this done in pre-course? Yes, no? Yeah. Okay, I'll come back to this piece wala question. Yes. Okay. So okay. Fibonacci series. Okay. So what is Fibonacci series? Basically, you are given two numbers, which is starting two numbers. So let's say A, which is 0, B, which is 1, and then you have to find out a third number, C, let's say, which will change, right? Which is nothing but the sum of previous two numbers. Just give me a second. Okay. So, okay, so we have A, we have B, and then we find out C, right? Which is like the sum of the previous two numbers. So let's say we want to do it for 10 numbers. We want to find out 10 numbers. So what we can do is we can take I equals to 0. We can run the loop for 10 times. Okay, I plus plus. And what we want to print is we want to print the series. So where the series is starting with A. Okay, so A is our first number, we will print A. Now what's the second number? The second number is B, right? So we just need to change A to B. Okay. Now before we change A to B, we need to find out the third number. Okay. So that we don't lose A and we also preserve the third number C. Next iteration, we want to print the second number. What is the second number? B. So we just change A to B. Okay. Next iteration, okay. So we don't want to lose the, we also want to find out the third number, because if we lose A becomes 1, we cannot find the third number. Third number is going to be A plus B. So let's find it before that. So we can find C is equals to A plus B. Okay. So we found out the third number. We change the first number to the second number. Okay. Now the second number can be changed to the third number, right? If the first number is storing the second number, there is no need of two variables storing the second number, right? So the second number can store the third number. Done. Next iteration will find out the fourth number. The first number will store the second number will store the third number will store the fourth number, and this will keep on running and we'll keep on getting the number in the series. Now if you run this loop till 10, 100, 200, you'll get that many numbers in the Fibonacci series, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and so on. Okay, so what we are basically doing is we are finding out the nth digit in the Fibonacci series. Okay, understood? Okay, so now, now let's look how we can print it in form of patterns. Okay, we'll follow the same rules. Okay, that we defined earlier. So what it is telling the number of rows is given n. Okay, chalo. So outer loop is done. Okay, outer loop is done, which is n the number of rows. Okay. So in n, which is let's say 5, so it is number of rows. So outer loop will run for the number of rows. At least we got one part of the question without thinking much. Okay, till n. Okay, now inner loop is going to run for the number of values we want to print in each line. So what is the number of values we want to print in each line? So in each line we are printing 0. For I equals to 1, we are printing 1 value. I equals to 2, 2 values. I equals to 3, 3 values. I equals to 4, 4 values. Okay, sorry. Yeah, for I equals to 1, we want to print 1 value. I equals to 2, 2 values. I equals to 3, 3 values, and so on. So J loop is going to run for I time. Simple. J loop is also done. Easy way. Achha. Now number of values. Now that's interesting. Now here the number of values actually depends on I, but not in straightforward way. So how it depends on I? So see. So the starting point of each row is the ith Fibonacci number. So for example, okay. So for I equals to 1, it is the first Fibonacci number. I equals to 2, it is the second Fibonacci number. I equals to 3, it is starting with the, not the third. Third one is 1. 0. Actually, it is going in series. It is not even starting with that. Oh, then it is like even easier. You don't have to do anything. Achha, I thought it is starting with the okay, so this is in series 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 6. So this is this is a very easy then. Agar wo question hota, then it was tricky. I'll solve that question also. So let's think of this one. This one is very easy. You just need to find out. See, so what I told you, the first number is 0, second number is 1. Okay. third number we don't know. Okay. So what we need to do is, so where we want to start printing. So we want to start printing with a space. Done. Acha. See, these two loops are done. Number of lines and the number of values we want to print in each row. Next is we print a. We printed a, and what we want to do is a print ho gaya. Now next step. So we want to find out the next Fibonacci number. C is equals to a plus b. A is equals to b. The same thing that we did earlier. B is equals to c. Same thing. A will next iteration will store the second Fibonacci number. If we remove a before that, we need to find out the third Fibonacci number, and we just store the third Fibonacci number in the second variable. Okay. After whenever this loop is done running, we just want to change the line. That's it. Okay. Now if I run this, see, we are getting the result that we wanted. So it is just the series, just that we have written this logic earlier, which we are writing in one loop. You broke this loop of how you want to print into the pattern side. Okay. So, and we just followed the two rules that we stated. Key first rule is number of rows, second rule is number of values in each row. That is not depending on this values that we have. And Fibonacci is running as as it was running earlier. Fibonacci logic is running as it was running earlier. Okay. Now this is done. Let me copy this, paste it over here. Let's try to do it. Let's try to do it directly submitted. I think should be there. Okay, clear? This question can be made difficult. How? Just think, if we change this question to from this, and if I ask you that you have to, so this is going to print that pattern, right? Let me just copy this so that you have this in notes as well. This is the pattern. Okay, so this was the pattern, let's say. See, everyone understood this, right? No doubts over here. Right? Just breaking the printing loop into two loops, so that you keep on getting the same continuous Fibonacci number, right? We are starting with the outside the outermost loop, and it continues the Fibonacci sequence, but just the printing is changing, right? So we have like something printing in same line, then we change the line, then we again continue printing in the same line, then we change the line, and this will print it in the pattern form. Okay. The question that would be a little bit different than this, and it would be like interesting to solve, was this. So if you would have asked to do the same thing, so 0, 1, 1. So in the first row, your Fibonacci number starts with the first Fibonacci number, then it starts with the second, then it starts with the third Fibonacci number, 2, 3. Then it starts with the fourth Fibonacci number, which is 2, 3, 5, 8. Then it starts with the fifth Fibonacci number, which is 3, 5, 8, 8, 13, 20. Now this would have been interesting because now in this logic you have to figure out what's the starting point of each iteration. In each iteration, before printing the numbers, you have to figure out what's the starting value. Achha, I'll give you 5 minutes. I already told you the logic. Try this one out. Okay, write your solutions, open your online GDB or the compiler that you want to use. Okay, it's 22, right? 13 plus 8, 22. 7, 8, 8, 21. Is it 21 or 22? 21. Okay. So try to open your online GDBs, try to open your online compilers, right? Try to write the solution for this. You already have this one. Okay. So you just have to do a little bit change, right? Not it will work in exact same way. Just try to think. Okay. I'll take 5 minutes. I'll wait, but solve this. Okay, solve this. Try to paste your solutions in chat. Take 5-10 minutes. Think of it. So the only thing that has changed is the starting point of the row, right? Starting value in the row is changed. Now that starts from a different value. That is the number of rows. So for example, second row starting with the second Fibonacci number, third row starting with third Fibonacci number. And can I do this? Not arrays, you don't need arrays. Just try to think it in normal way. Arrays is simple, right? Arrays is simple. Like if you store it, then you know that you have to start with A of I. That's easy, right? So you don't need to do it with arrays. Think it in terms of normal pattern only. Don't store arrays. Don't take arrays. We'll store every element, leaving the first element, and then paste it in the next line. Again, string, you don't need strings, you don't need arrays, you don't need anything such complicated. You can do it with normal numbers, normal variables. You don't need such things. No strings, no arrays. Okay. The solution is very easy. I'll give you a hint. There are two Fibonacci sequences that are running. Okay, one in the row wise, other is the column wise. Okay, there is two Fibonacci sequence that's running. The row Fibonacci sequence is actually changing every iteration of the inner loop. The column Fibonacci sequence is changing every iteration of the outer loop. No. So no one got the solution. So let me do it then.
I have done it, sir.
Done. So paste your solutions in chat if you have done. Anyone?
Just give me a sec.
Yeah. See, it would be easy if you think it in like strings or numbers, but I don't want you to make it strings or strings or arrays. Just I want you can do it in normal variables. That can be done. Just you have to think of two Fibonacci sequences that are running parallelly, right? So one increases at every iteration of the outer loop, other increases every iteration of the inner loop. That's it. That's it. Hmm.
Sir. So please check it once. Is it right or wrong?
So, okay, first number you are printing right away, then we'll you are printing C, right? You are printing C. Okay, so let's see. Actually, instead you can print A and then you don't need to do this reduce the number of iterations and those things. ठीक है, this also works.
सर एक बार ये आप इसमें पेस्ट करके भी ये अपने पोर्टल पे और एडिट करके बता दीजिए जो आप बोल रहे हैं एडिट चेंजेस तो मैं देख लूंगा रन भी हो रहा है सही से नहीं हो रहा है I just made it.
Yeah. So let's copy this. Okay. So let me just show you what I am telling you. तो यहाँ पे वो रोटेशन नहीं है ना, अच्छा वेयर यू आर, बट दिस इज गोइंग टू प्रिंट द सेम सीक्वेंस जो अभी हमने प्रिंट करा है, राइट? ये चेंज तो नहीं होगा, दिस इज नॉट गोइंग टू चेंज इट, राइट? So for example, this is like not going to print it differently जो हमने print करा है. See, so if I run this, so this is not required since you have commented that loop. So this is like this should be
सर मैं फिर से रीशेयर कर रहा हूँ कोड एक सेकंड सर
नहीं ठीक है, got it, I got it.
क्योंकि सर कुछ चीजें कमेंटेड आउट की है ना वो शायद
ठीक है, I got it. चलो let me explain this for everyone. So यहाँ पे वो change नहीं कर रहा ना, you're not cycling it back. See, so for example, and it is going to print the sequence तो print होगा, but you're not going to get back to the result that we want, right? वो नहीं होगा. If you want to do it is even using print, ये work नहीं करेगा because you are not going back to the number. ठीक है, problem हुआ है. Even if you uncomment it and you run this, you're not going back to the number. So that's the problem. Okay, and that will be there. See, so you're going in a single sequence order, so wo problem hai. So let me tell you the solution, then I'll discuss this. Okay, see, okay, so what's the change that we need to do over here to make this look like this? See, so what is the sequence? The sequence is Fibonacci sequence, which is there in each row. Now what is the sequence telling? That it is nothing but the sum of previous two values. That's it. Okay, acha. So let's follow the rules that we initially created for the loops, right? So outer loop is going to run for the number of rows. So if n is the number of row, outer loop is going to run for n. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Inner loop is going to run for the number of values we want to print in each row. So for first row, 1 value, second row, 2 values, third row, 3 values, fourth row, 4 values, and so on. Okay, so that is also fine. For each row, we are printing as many values. Okay, so we got these two parts. Now what's this? Now what we have to print over here? So inside this, we have to print the Fibonacci sequence, but little bit differently. See, so I'll start a Fibonacci sequence that's outside this loop. So A is 0, B is equals to 1, okay, and C. Okay. So we have A is 0, B is 1, and then we have finally C. Now what we want to do is we don't want to print this one, this sequence altogether, because if we print this, then we can't come back to any number, right? So what we want is we want to start with the second number, third number, fourth number, and so on. Achha. So let's say if I increase it over here, C is equals to A plus B, A is equals to B, and B is equals to C. So what is going to happen? So every iteration of I loop, A becomes, firstly A was the first number, then A becomes the second number, A becomes the third number. So firstly A was the first number, so A was 0. Then the second, after in the second iteration of I loop, A becomes 1. Third iteration of I loop, A becomes 2. Sorry, A1 becomes 1 again, which is the third Fibonacci number. Fourth iteration, it becomes 2, and so on. What is B changing? So B was initially 1, which is the second number, then it becomes 2. So then it becomes 1 again, then it becomes 2, then it becomes 3. And this is how B is changing, right? Just check, is it following the same thing or not? Just like the Fibonacci logic that I've written over here, right? So A is changing to second, third, fourth, and so on. B is changing to second, third, fourth, and so on numbers, right? Achha. Now, do we actually need to print this? No. We have to start by these values. So for example, in the first iteration, whatever is the first and second number. So let's take a P and Q. So P is nothing but our first number. Q is nothing but our second number. Okay. And let's take R, which we'll find out. Okay. And now let's use this to print this. Okay. So let's print P, a space. Then we can find R is equals to P plus Q. P is equals to Q. Q is equals to R. Okay. Then now let's run this. Just that we are starting with, we need to do this at the end. Yeah.
सर मैंने वो गलत कोड आपको सेंड कर दिया था. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, ठीक है, चलो, I'll check your all codes. Don't worry. If I made you write something, I'll check it. Okay. See, working fine. देखो क्या करा हमने. Now we have two sequences that is running. ठीक है? I told you two sequences है. One sequence that is changing column. Let me write, change it to 10. So that you see a few more rows, few more columns, right? So it is easier to visualize. Okay, see. So what is happening is there are two sequences. One sequence that is running in this column order. 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and so on. Okay. What is this? So one solution is for those who know arrays, strings. So you can store it in array, you can print it in strings. But see, we don't use data structure until we need them. Here there is no need. Here there is a simple variable calculation that you can manipulate and you can get the result. So what I did, I thought, okay, let's start with the Fibonacci sequence that is there in this one. Okay, when will this sequence get updated? This sequence will get updated whenever we print the line. So whenever we are done with printing the line, we'll update this sequence. Okay, so whenever we are done printing, which is printing this line, so this entire logic is to print each line. Okay, let's forget about this. So this is updating that value. So this is the normal Fibonacci logic. A, B, C. So we have C is equals to A plus B, B is equals to A is equals to B, B equals to C. Done. Okay. So for the first iteration, okay. Okay, done. Okay, we understood. We'll update this for this column thing. But what about row? So for each row, the starting two values are not always 0 and 1. Right? The starting values are not always 0 and 1. It is changing. Okay. If it was 0 and 1, like you always start with the starting value of Fibonacci sequence, then like that's a different question. Right? That is even easier than like this the work question. Okay, so okay, let me talk about that first. Okay, let me complete that. So for example, let's say if I tell you to print Fibonacci sequence in each line, right? So what you need to do is, instead of doing this, you just need to change one small thing in here. You just need to move this. You just need to move this initialization to inside of the loop. Okay, done. So what this is doing, this is going to print the Fibonacci sequence. In each line, you're starting with a Fibonacci sequence. See, if I tell it to print till 10, now you'll be able to see the difference. So we are starting the sequence inside the loop, right? So that we print the Fibonacci sequence in each line. Right? At every iteration, wherever we are starting to print the line, we start with the Fibonacci sequence again back from 0 and 1. Right? So this is easy. This is like just we are moving this. This was printing the entire sequence. We are not going back again. Right here for every iteration, we are starting again with the starting values. So we are going back again. So we are starting with ABC. Before starting the line, we are starting with ABC. Right? We are printing that. Achha. So let's say we understood these two things. Now, okay. So what about this? So here, see, in this particular question, what we are doing is, so outer loop is let's say changing for the number of like outer loop is changing for the each row. We are finding out the what is the correct Fibonacci sequence, what's the value that we should start with. So in inner loop, what I'm telling is whatever is the current A, that is like the starting value, what is the current B, that is the second number. But and then we have to find out R and we'll print the sequence using that PQR. So the same logic, Fibonacci sequence, just that the starting two values are different. Starting value is A and B, not 0 and 1 always. It is A and B, and which is varying, right? So for the first iteration, A and B were 0, 1. Second iteration, it was 1, 1. Third iteration, it was 1, 2. Fourth iteration, it was 1, 2, 3. Fifth iteration, it was 3, 5, and so on. Okay, as A and B are changing, this starting values are also changing in this row. So we are seeing the sequence that we find. Understood? Yes. So how can this question be varied and how will you get this varied result? Okay. So pattern is always about, like, if I just move one statement to outside of the loop or one statement inside of the loop, that things will change. Or if I just change how this pattern looks, so your logic would change. Yeah, so here there is two sequence, right? You can see there is two sequence that run. One is running outside this and one that runs for each line. Now this is starting from A and B, and this outside one is like just updating at every I iteration. Okay. Yeah. Okay, now let me check your codes, the codes that you have shared. There are a few codes that I see in chat. Okay, so 01 OBC. Okay, so at least you have not taken 0 to I, that's fine. Now starting with num, printing num. Num is equals to A. So, okay, in this logic, Sumit, there is one thing that I check, like you might be getting 2 zeros for num, right? Because firstly it was 0 and then you initialize it to A. So this num equals to A, you need to do it after the updation of Fibonacci, right? So after B equals to C, you need to write there. Actually, you have increased num by 1. But that is not going to, you don't need to do this plus plus. That plus plus is not required. It will work for smaller number, for larger numbers it is going to fail, right? So you have to do this as num equals to A after this sequence, right? A like B equals to C after that line. Apart from that, again the same problem, right? You would be in the same problem that you're not starting back the logic again. Okay, so that is one thing. Okay, I guess this one, Tisham, I guess we are starting with 1. Okay, you printed 0 separately. If it is greater than 2, then you are thinking this. If it is, then you are starting C plus A. Again, same logic, right? You have not circled back, right? So how would it start back with this? That's set out. Okay, got this? Acha, got the difference? Everyone understood this? Like just the trick that you have to think it 2 Fibonacci sequences would have been easier if you had new array. So you can entire sequence and you can just start with A of I. Yes.
सर एक बार ड्राई रन करा देते इसको.
Okay, let's see. Let's do a dry run of this one. Okay. Achha, above two ones are easy, clear, right? So when we want to print it, like in each line, you are starting with a new Fibonacci sequence, or you want to print a total Fibonacci sequence. That is different, right? Here, see. So let me run this first and then do what I am. Okay. See what we are trying to do. Just look at the values. Okay. So the first iteration, A is equals to 0, B is equals to 1. Okay. Oh, actually, let me do it in this way. B is equals to 1. Okay. C we don't have yet. Okay, C is not there. Now here we initialize with P is equals to A, P is equals to 0, P is equals to for this is happening for I equals to 1. Okay, I equals to 1, we are doing this. K is equals to 1. We go inside J loop. J is going to run from 1 to 1. So J is going to run from 1 to 1, which is 1 iteration. So we print P, which is 0, we print 0. Okay. We find R, which is P plus Q, we find R equals to 1. P equals to Q, we change P equals to 1 and we change Q is equals to R, so Q is changed to 1. See, P went to the second Fibonacci number, Q went to the third Fibonacci number. Okay. Now, since this loop will not run any further, so we don't do anything, we come outside. We change the line, say we have printed a single 0, we change the line. Now, what we are doing with this, so we are finding out C, which is A plus B. So C we found out as 1. A changed to B, so A updated its value to 1 and B updated its value to 2. Sorry, B updated its value to C, which is 1. So A and B updated its value and we found the value of C. Okay. Next iteration, when I equals to 2, so I will change to 2. Now J loop is going to run from 1 to 2. This time J loop is going to have 2 iterations, 1 to 2. And now look, what is P, Q, R starting values going to look like? So P is going to look like P is having the starting value as A, which is 1. Q is having the starting value as B, which is 1. Okay. R is having no values at start. So we'll firstly print P, which is 1. So we print P. Okay, first iteration of J loop. We find out R, which is P plus Q 2. We find P is equals to Q. So P is equals to 1. Q is equals to R. So Q becomes 2. Okay. Next iteration for J equals to 2. What we do is we print P, which is again 1. So we print 1. Okay. We change R is equals to P plus Q. So R becomes 3. P becomes Q, which is 2, and Q becomes R, which is 3. Okay. We found out the values for the next one, but since J will only run for 2 times, we'll not print anything else. We'll come outside of this loop. We change the line, we go to the next line, and now we update ABC. So C is equals to A plus B, so C becomes 2. A equals to B, so A becomes 1. B is equals to C, so B becomes 2. Okay. So now we have 1, 2, 2. Okay. Now for I equals to 3, we again go back. Now this time, look, it is going to change, right? So this time J loop is going to run from 1 to 3. P is starting with A, which is 1. Q is starting with B, which is 2. See, every time it is starting with the first 2 values that you have over here. Why it is starting with the first 2 values? Because there is one sequence that you are running from top to bottom, which is in the column wise, which is the starting value of each row, and then we are varying it, right? We are varying it. Okay. And then R is basically we don't have any values. Now in the iteration of J loop for J equals to 1, what we do is we print P. Okay. So P we print, P's value is 1. Okay, done. Q is okay. So okay, then we change PQR. P we printed, we change PQR. So R is P plus Q. P is Q, Q is R. Okay. Next iteration of J loop for J equals to 2, right? J was 1, J is changed to 2. Now for J equals to 2, what we are going to do is we are going to print P, which is 2. So we printed 2. And then we are going to update this. So R is going to become 5. P is going to become 3. Q is going to become 5. Okay. Next iteration, when J is equals to 3, we print P, which is 3. Now see, the same thing next. So this is done. So we print 3. Then we'll increase A, B, and C. So this will be 3, this will be 2, and this will be 3. Okay. Next iteration, P will start with 2, Q will start with 3. So P will start with 2, Q will start with 3. Now got it? How it is changing. So there is a Fibonacci sequence that's there in the column order as well. And I'm just using that to get my starting values for each row. So see, this is a Fibonacci sequence itself. So I'm just trying to iterate through this. If there is something that is changing for each row, that will go in the I loop. That will not be a part of J loop. So this is outside this, and this is changing in the I loop, not in the J loop. And what we are doing in the J loop, we are changing the sequence. We have the starting values, which we get from A and B, and we change it in the J loop. And then again, we start in the next iteration with A and B. Okay. Got it? Clear? Clear? Done. Yes. Okay. The patterns can be tricky, right? Patterns can be tricky. It can be very tricky. Let's move to this one. Let's print this one. Okay. I guess we'll be able to only cover partially functions today. I guess we have few more questions to go. Okay, but we'll complete it tomorrow if it requires another half an hour. Okay. Now in this question, see, till now, whatever questions we printed, it was in the right angle triangle order, right? We do not have any spaces in the start. But in this particular question, we have spaces in the starting of the pattern. ठीक है. So you have spaces in the starting of this pattern. Okay, now how to deal with these spaces? ठीक है. First thing, whenever you see spaces, just check how many spaces you have. See, also leave aside the spaces you have in between. ठीक है. Don't consider the spaces in between. Forget that for a second. So if we forget the spaces in between, you have only 4 spaces. 2, 3. 3 spaces. Okay. For the first value, you have 3 spaces. For the second value, you have 2 spaces. For third value, you have 1 space. Achha. Let's forget the spaces as well. Let's try to print this pattern without spaces. So without space, how this is going to look like? So outer loop is going to run for the number of rows. So if n is equals to 5, outer loop is going to run for 5 times. So I is less than equals to 5. I plus plus, done. Okay. Inner loop is going to run for the values that we want to print. So j is going to start with I. J is going to go till, sorry, j start with 1, go till I, and j plus plus. Okay. Achha. We can print simply j. Let's just print j, not spaces right now. Print the line. Okay, change the line. Now if I run this, what you would see is this pattern getting printed, but without spaces, right? 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Achha. Now we have to print space. Now what I told you for every line, right? So this we found out the relation is I. For every line, what is like how many values we have to print? I value. Now for check with for every I, how many spaces you have to print? For I equals to 1, I equals to 2, I equals to 3, I equals to 4. How many spaces are there? For I equals to and n is equals to, let's say here 4, right? N value is 4 for this particular pattern. So for n equals to 4, I equals to 1, we have 3 spaces. I equals to 2, we have 2 spaces. I equals to 3, we have 1 space. I equals to 4, we have 0 space. Is there
N
any
minus 1.
relation? N minus I.
N minus I, exactly.
Yes. So I told you, right? The relations will be I minus 1, I plus 1, n minus I minus 1. The relations are going to be something like this, right? It is always going to be there. There's always going to be related. So just you have to write one loop before printing this line, right? Within the same line, what you have to do is you have to print spaces. We'll start with 1. K is less than equals to the number of space, that is n minus I, and k plus plus. And what this loop is doing, system.out.
Spaces print करना है इस.
Bus single space, done. Let's run this. Achha. So we printed the spaces. Now let's say, sir, what if there is spaces in between each of these characters? So for example, if I print spaces over here, so it would distort the normal spacing order that we have printed. Right? If there are spaces in each character, so we won't get it in this order. It is viewing it in some different order. So if there is any space that is there in this, you don't need to do the calculation. Yes, that's what I'm telling. Don't do this calculation. Just add 1 space over here. Done. Okay. You don't need to change your calculations for anything. Your calculations are fine. You don't need to think of those complicated calculations. You just add 1 space over here. If there are 2 spaces in between this, just add 1 more spaces over here. Then you don't have to do anything else. Okay. If you add a space over here, you increase the space over here as well. Okay, so now it is 2 space, not a single space. Understood? Easy trick.
Yes,
So,
sir.
I guess a few people do it using calculations, but I don't get the point of calculating. This look easier. You don't have to calculate, think it on 2x or something. Achha. Now, what question was related to this? So Fibonacci done. Which question is left? Optimus prime. अच्छा ये रह गया था ना? Optimus prime. चलो, let me complete this one. अच्छा चलो इसको end में करते हैं. Let's complete all the pattern question, then I'll go back to Optimus prime. हाँ. What question is left? Diamond 1, right? Diamond is left. Apart from diamond, all the others are done. Yes. So let's solve the diamond. So
Sir.
diamond, yes.
सर स्टार पैटर्न प्रिंट करना है सर, लेकिन सर रिवर्स ऑर्डर में करना है और उनके बीच में स्पेस रहना चाहिए सर, उसको थोड़ा सा कर देते सर.
ये वाला स्टार पिरामिड, this one, no. Or which question is it?
सर ये नहीं सर. सर 1 2 3 जैसे किए थे ना सर, वही वाला क्वेश्चन है, लेकिन वहाँ पे स्टार है, लेकिन सर वो रिवर्स में रहे सर.
रिवर्स में मतलब 5 4 3 2 1 5 stars 4 stars 3 stars 2 stars ऐसा.
जी सर, ये रिवर्स में रहे सर, ऐसे ही रहना चाहिए.
ये तो इजी है. रेस्ट एक फॉर एग्जांपल, सो ठीक है, आउटर लूप n टाइम्स रन करेगा. ठीक है, आउटर लूप फिक्स n टाइम्स है. इनर लूप इज
J minus minus.
Inner loop is C. Inner loop में check करो कि how many values you have. So here you have starting with 5 values, right? So 1 2 3 4 5. Then you are printing 4 values, then 3. इसका पहले एक example दिया था मैंने, ठीक है. So here I like how is it related with I? For I equals to 1 we are printing 5. I
Sir.
equals to yes.
सर ये जो 4 है सर यहाँ से स्टार्ट होगा सर, दूसरा वाला लूप इस साइड से स्टार्ट होगा, राइट साइड से सर.
एक बार क्वेश्चन सेंड कर दो चैट बॉक्स में ब्रदर.
हाँ, क्वेश्चन अगर आप टाइप कर दो ना तो इजी हो जाएगा. सेकंड वाला लाइक यू आर टेलिंग ये 4 से स्टार्ट होगा. सो दैट वो तो n पे डिपेंड करेगा ना. n is 5 so 5 से स्टार्ट होगा, n is 4 so 4 से स्टार्ट होगा. तो वेरी
सर लूप की इटरेशन घटा के भी तो हो सकता है काम.
लूप की इटरेशन घटा के, हाँ यू कैन स्टार्ट विथ लाइक रिवर्स लूप 5 4 3 2 1, वो भी काम करेगा. 5 2 1 दैट आल्सो यू कैन डू. ठीक है, देखो. So here, see again same logic, right? What I told you, outer loop you got this. Inner loop will be always related with I. ठीक है, so inner loop I से related होगा. So यहाँ पे I equals to 1 के लिए what is the value that we are printing 5. I equals to I equals to 2 के लिए we are printing 4 stars, right? I equals to 2 के लिए we are printing 4 stars. I equals to 3 के लिए we are printing 3 stars. I equals to 2 के लिए we are printing 2 stars. Sorry, I equals to 4 के लिए we are printing 2 stars. I equals to 5 के लिए we are printing 1 star. अच्छा, now look how is it related with I. अच्छा, telling right side for 4 instead of left. अच्छा, you are telling कि ये इधर से right aligned है. There is space in this pattern. So I guess you are telling this कि ये इस side से aligned है. This is then interesting. Then you need to print spaces as well. Is this?
यस सर.
जो स्पेस वाला अपन ने बनाया था उसको रिवर्स अगर कर देंगे अपन, जहाँ पे I-1 है तो वो हो जाएगा सर.
देखो चलो ठीक है, let's do this. This one is interesting. Okay, let's try to do a setup. हाँ ठीक है, so this is our pattern, right? So now okay, देखो we outer loop is running for n. ठीक है, उसमें कोई this is distorting. There is something that is distorted over here. Okay, just look at this. So let's try to find out the relations. Okay, so for I equals to 1 we have 5 stars. Okay, so let's first print the stars. Okay, space will thing later. पहले star print कर लेते हैं. ठीक है. Now for I equals to 1 we have 5 stars. For 2 we have and n is equals to 5. Now can you think of what is the relation with this? So is it, so what can be the relations? What are the relation values? I minus 1, I plus 1, I n minus I plus 1, n minus I minus 1, something like this. Anything matching? Is this matching? N minus I plus 1. These many stars in each row. So just validate. 5 minus 1 plus 1. So which is 5. Okay. 5 minus 2 plus 1. 5 minus 3 plus 1. 5 minus 4 plus 1. Okay. 5 minus 4 is 1 plus 1. 5 minus 3. Okay. So we got the relation. So relation mil gaya. So you just have to pick one relation from here. So relation is you are going to run from 1 and you are going to run till n minus I plus 1. Then j plus plus, and this will print the star. System dot out dot print a star. And take it. Let's not print spaces for now. System dot out dot println, change the line. Okay. Let's comment this. Run this. Okay. Let's see. So we are getting the stars, right? 5 4 3 2 1. We got the stars, and what is the relation? N minus I plus 1. I already gave you the list. You just need to write I. You just need to write what's the number of values you want to print. Your relation will be anyone from this. ठीक है, यहाँ से एक relation definitely मिल जाएगा. Your relation is anyone from this 100%, right? Plus 2, plus 3, plus minus 2, minus 3 वैसा भी हो सकता है. But majority of cases it is going to be something like this. Now let's check for spaces. So for I equals to 1, we have 0 space. I equals to 2, we have 1 space. I equals to 3, we have 2 space. I equals to 4, we have 3, and I equals to 5, we have 4. What is this? How is this related? Which relation is this? I minus 1. Done. So we can do the scale loop, which is starting from 1. Let me complete this. I'll explain it again. Okay, which is I minus 1 A plus plus. See the pattern thing now, if you use this concept, you don't even have to think anything. Okay, you don't even have to think at all, right? Just pick relations, write the loops. Okay, now you get the space. Now if there is multiple spaces, right? If there is space in between the stars, what you need to do? Just add a space over here and increase the space from here. Done. You don't need to change your calculations. You don't need to change anything. Just add the space over here. Just add a space at the top. That will work. Hello, mummy. Class में call करते class के बाद. Okay. Clear? Acha, tell me, understood this? Okay, let me repeat again. Okay, see. So what we are doing over here is we are trying to firstly run for the number of lines. That is, number of rows is fixed, and so there is no doubt in that. Now, for each row, there are two things that is varying. So one is the number of spaces, other is the number of stars. So number of stars is like for I equals to 1, we have 5 stars. I equals to 2, we have 4 stars. I equals to 3, we have 3 stars. 4, we have 2 stars. 5, we have 1 star. Okay. How the spaces is varying? Spaces for I equals to 1, we have 0 space. I equals to 2, we have 1 space. I equals to 3, we have 2, and so on. So let's just first write the relation. Now, what is the relation of I with this? So how is I related with this thing? So this is I is related with this thing is n minus I plus 1. This is related in this way, n minus I plus 1. Okay. And how is this related? This is related as I minus 1, I plus 1, and so on. So this is related as I minus 1. So we found both the relation I minus 1 and minus I plus 1. Okay, we got both the relations n minus I plus 1 and I minus 1. Okay. Clear? Now we just need to write those two loops. Inner loop is I n minus I plus 1. Or this space loop is I minus 1. Done. Okay. Now, whatever we learned till now, right? Whatever things we learned till now, that is all used in one single pattern known as diamond pattern. So I don't want to solve this today. Will you all try this to solve yourself now? I give you enough pattern questions right now. You can think. So I'll give you a hint that that will work for you. Okay. So see, don't try. The easiest way is to break it into 4 patterns. So this is your first pattern. You'll find the relation again in n minus I minus 1. 4 patterns. Or if you are comfortable, you can break it in even in 2 patterns. That is also fine. Okay. If you break it into 2 patterns, that is also fine. Okay. If you are comfortable, break it into 2 patterns and that works. So that is also fine. Okay. So you can either break it into 4 patterns, print it in this way, or you can think of breaking it into 2 patterns, such that this is one pattern, the top one, and this is another pattern. There is a small calculation that you need to do. So each line, let me tell you those calculations as well. I equals to 1, I equals to 2, I equals to 3. What is the number of stars? 1. Number of stars, 3. Number of stars, 5. So here again you will start another pattern. So it is I equals to 1, I equals to 2. So I equals to 1, you have 3 stars. I equals to 2, you have 1 star. Now tell me, how is this related? Can you find out the relation?
Minus 1 patterns. 2i minus 1 stars.
So this is 2i minus 1 stars. Okay. So if you print it in a single row, 2i minus 1, 2i minus 1, 2i minus 1, you got the star. So just put this into formula, you'll get the number of stars. Spaces is easy. Spaces to 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1 and 2, right? 1, 2 space here. And in between spaces, I already gave you the trick. If you have spaces in between, what you need to do? You just increase it from 1 to 2 space, right? Add space in between, increase it 1 to 2 space. Yes. Achha. Now in the second one, what you need to do? For I equals to 1, I equals to 2. So I equals to 1, you have 3 stars. I equals to 2, you have 1 star. Or you can think it in, actually, if you write the reverse loop, your calculation will be easier. If you think it in this way, if you think it in 2 and 1, then your calculations are actually easier. So here it is, same calculation, 2i minus 1, just that the loop is running in reverse. So 2i minus 1 is 3, 2i minus 1 is 1, right? Just loop runs in reverse. Here loop runs from reverse. So here if it is total number of rows is 5. So the first part is 5 by 2. It is always going to be odd. So the first part is 3 rows, and the second part is 5 by 2 minus 1, which is 2. Okay. So the first part is 5 by 2, second part is 5 by 2 minus 1. Now try to print this. I gave you all the calculations. So if you want to skip that on like 2i minus 1 calculation, you can break it into 4 loops, and there you don't need to do 2i minus 1 calculation. All the calculation will be on the range of I minus 1, I plus 1, n minus I, n minus I minus 1, and so on. Okay. Okay. I guess then all the questions are done. Acha, Optimus Prime रहेगा,
Sir.
right?
सर एक क्वेश्चन मेरा भी है सर.
हाँ बताओ.
सर ये चैट में कर दिया सर, एक बार उसको देख.
ठीक है, let me check this. So let's complete this. अच्छा, is it pattern? So pattern पहले कर लेते हैं. Pattern. अच्छा, so this is क्या बोलते हैं इसको? Pascal's triangle बोलते हैं. नहीं, Pascal's triangle नहीं है. क्या बोलते हैं इसको? कुछ तो नाम है इसका. This has a very good name. I forgot. Okay, chalo, let's think of this.
Sir, this is an Armstrong, no?
Not Armstrong.
Armstrong.
This is palindrome numbers, but
Palindrome, sorry, yes, sir.
ठीक है. So
Sir, which question is this?
so this is I guess from Zim होगा, number pattern 3. यहाँ पे नहीं है I guess. Is it there in the assignment? This is
No,
not
no,
there.
sir.
हाँ ठीक है.
जिम है सर, जिम.
हाँ ठीक है, चलो let's pick this one so we can discuss this. This is interesting. अच्छा चलो, I'll explain this. You all try this for others and we'll solve this tomorrow. ठीक है, I'll not
Okay, sir.
close this. But I'll explain this. अच्छा चलो. So what's changing? See. So let's figure out what's changing. So if you figure out the change in each rows, then you go. Okay, outer loop is running for number of rows, that is 4. So you are going to run outer loop is fixed. Inner loop is so you start with 1. You start with 1, 1, 1, 1. Every row value is starting with 1. Okay. So your printing value, let's say okay. And what's how is the row changing? So you are having 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Acha. What if there is 5? So you are going to have 1, 2, so okay. For the next row, you are going to have 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Next row, you are going to have 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Next row, you are going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on. Okay. Acha. So see what is changing. This is very easy, very, very easy, very, very, very easy. Chalo. Acha, let me tell you this. So I is for each I, you start with 1, right? For every value, the printing value starts with 1, and you print it. So you, let's say P is you start with I. So not start with I, sorry, you start with 1. For every row, your P value starts with 1, and what you are doing? You start with 1, you start with 1, you start with 1, you start with 1, and you keep on going until like I by 2 prints you have made. So for example, first iteration, in the first one, let's say when I is equals to 1, you are just required to make only one print. So J will run for only one time. So J is going to run from 1 to I, same logic. 1 value, 2 value, 3 value, 4 values, 5 values. So J is going to, for ith row, it is going to print I values. Achha. Now P is going to run till exactly, P is going to firstly increase and then decrease. Now till when it is going to increase and till when it is going to decrease. So it is going to increase by I divided by 2 plus 1 times. Why I divided by 2 plus 1 times? Okay, let's look. So for first iteration, just look at this. When I is 1. So 1 divided by 1, which is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. So first row, you are going to just print 1. Okay. Second row, when I is 2. So you are going to print 1. Achha, now there is 1 plus 1 minus 1 calculation. I equals to 3, you are going to print 2. So 2 minus 1. For 4, it's see, so actually this it is I minus 1. I minus 1. You simply need to print till I minus 1. Done. I, this is I.
So we can check whether the I value is in even number. We can took at I by 2, and if it was odd, we can took I by 2 plus 1.
For that will automatically get handled, I guess. So let's check. Okay, so for I equals to 1, you go till your value is still 1. I equals to 2, you go till 1. I equals to 3, you go till 2. I equals to 4, you go till 2. Achha. So for odd, it is I minus. So for 1, that is exception. For So let's check for 5. It will give us an idea. For 5, we'll go till 3. For 6 also, we'll go till 3. This is I divided by 2 plus 1, I divided by 2, I divided by 2 plus 1. Only for 1, it is not following I divided by 2 plus 1, right? So apart from this, all the others are following. For I equals to 7, you are going to go till 4, I divided by 2 plus 1. And 8, it is I divided by 2. Yes. So for all the other cases, it is following this rule. So let me solve this one. Solve it. Someone has put this in array list. Let me reset the code. Oh, it is asking us to return this array list. But okay, let's do one thing. Let's just erase everything. We don't know array list. So let's do it without array list. Just you need to erase everything. It will clean up everything. Done. Okay. Achha, see. So this is interesting. There is like a lot of edgy cases, right? So first loop, order loop, let's run this one, which is going to run for n times. Okay, I equals to 1, I will go till equals to n, I plus plus. Okay. Inner loop, how is j changing? So j for each row, we are printing like I values, right? So for each row, we are printing I values. For j is going to start from 1, j is going to go till n. Sorry, I. And j plus plus. Okay. We can do it. Yes, will do it in 2 parts. One is like increasing and the other is decreasing. Just that we have to find that point where we can exactly say from till here it is increasing and after that it will be decreasing. Okay. So let's check. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2 and then 2, 1. So for I equals to 4, we divided by 2. I equals to 3. We have it by 2. I equals to 1. Achha, okay. So this is easier. For odd one and this one, even one, it is going to by 2. Okay. So let's take a P, which is starting with 1. Okay. It is anyway starting with 1. The first loop is going to run for I by 2. If it is 3, if it is odd, it is going to be I by 2 plus 1. If it is even, it is going to be I by 2. So let's find out this iteration of each loop. Let's call it as iteration IT. Okay. So if I is odd, if I% is 2, double equals to 0. So if I is even, this iteration is I by 2. If I is odd, then this iteration is I by 2 plus 1. Just look at this. Does it follow? Check. Let me write it as a bigger triangle so that you can easily see these values. Okay, let's write it for what is going to be the 5th row. So 5th row is going to be 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Then it is going to be 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now look at this. Okay. So I equals to 1, I equals to 2. Okay. This is how it's varying. Okay. So iteration we found out. Just look at for the even rows. Not forget about the smaller values. Just look at here from 1 to 1 to here. So I equals to 3. So we have to print 1, 2, which is like 3 by 2 plus 1. Okay. I by 2 plus 1. For 4, we have to print 1, 2, which is I by 2. Okay. So I by 2. For 5, we have to print. Okay. For 5, we have to print 1, 2, 3, and then we have to print 2, 1. Okay. For 6, we have to print 1, 2, 3, and then 3, 2, 1. So we have to print I by 2 till that it is increasing and then it is decreasing. Okay. So let's print it till iterations. So IT. So outer first loop is going to print the iterations, which is going to be system.out.print. It is going to be P, and then we increase P. Okay. Okay. Now, after printing the first 3 values, so for example, here we print 1, then 2, and then P value will be 3. So next iteration, we don't want to start with 3. If the I is odd, so what will P change? P will change to decrease by 2 if I is odd, and P will decrease by 1 if I is even. Just look at this. If I is even, then P is going to decrease by only 1. So P is going to decrease by only 1. If P is odd, I is odd, P is going to decrease by 2. Now why this? Just validate it with the values over here. So if I is odd, okay, so P was 3. So we just have to decrease it by 1. It will start with 2. if p is I is so I is odd, in that situation, p equals to 5, we change it to 3, and then we next when the loop ends, p value is 4. We have to decrease it to 2. So that's why it decreased by 2. Okay. You can write another j loop, j equals to 1, j is less than equals to how many iterations? Because we need to find out the iterations of this as well, right? Okay, same logic for iterations. Here it will be, if it is even, how many iterations we have? Same I by 2. If it is odd, how many iterations we have? Odd, so we printed, so this is I by 2 minus, so this is I by 2. So okay, in both situations it is I by 2 now. This is tricky. Yes, this one is tricky. System dot out dot print. I guess there is a better way. Right now, it's not striking to me, but I for sure can tell there is a better way than this. P minus minus. We can decrease it. All of these things are done. So not tricky. Okay. The only thing that is remaining with the initial calculations. So let's check. For I equals to 1, we check I percentage 2, that is odd. So we do odd plus. So if it is even, we do I by 2. No, so we don't need to do it for the first iteration. Okay. First iteration we can simply print 1. For the second iteration, I is odd. Sides even by 2. So it is 2 by 1. So 1. And here it is even by 2. So 2 by 1, 1. So we print 1. It is even. So even percentage 2. So it's 0. So 0, so it's divisible. So we do I minus 1, which is fine. Okay. We just need to print 1 at the start of this. There might be some way to handle this in the loop. Right now, let's me just print it at the start. Okay. Now let's give it a value like 5 or 6 and just check the output. I'll explain this to a try run. One wire getting 2 ones. Just a second, println. Okay.
Sir, can you please remove the first tip on that?
Yeah. I'll explain this. Don't worry. 1 minus 1 times is a run, right? 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. So there is, okay, we have run it till n minus 1. And how is this case getting handled? It's getting handled. Now that's interesting. Okay, handle हो रहा है. So let's check for this. 1 is 1%, 2, that's 1. 1 divided by 2 is, okay, it's odd. So odd plus, so 0 plus 1. Okay, that's 1. Okay. We'll run it for 1 times. And now it is 1 divided by 2, 0. Oh, okay, that doesn't run. Okay, this automatically sums up. Okay. Yeah, okay, we don't need that handling 1 outside. This is the correct logic. Okay, now let me explain this, what I did. Okay, what is this mess that I wrote off? Now this is going to work. I guess if we submit, this is going to be fine. We don't have spaces, so nothing for spaces. Space. This time taking is not good. It is telling 2, it is not. Oh, yeah. Like it is just telling to print 2s. It's not telling to print this. For a larger value, it's not 3, 4 something. It's just 2. Okay, so we start with 1. Wait, print. Okay, so the pattern that I was printing was thinking different. So actually it is not increasing by this. It is increasing. Then the middle values is always going to be 2. Oh. Okay, so I'll anyway, since I've printed this pattern, I'll write this, I'll paste this code, I'll explain both of them. Okay, so that you, so this is also interesting one. So if it asks you to increase it to 3, 4, okay, someone told it before. Okay, I don't know. I thought that it is increasing. So that's why I always check the expected output, right? So that's always better to check the expected output so that we don't end up writing something we don't need. Okay. So this is a pattern which looks like this. So it is 1 1 1, sorry, no spaces, 1 1. Then we have 1 2 1 1 2 2 1. Then it is 1 2 3 2 1 1 2 3 3 2 1 1 2 3 4 3 2 1. Right, so it looks like this. Okay, this is the pattern that is printed over here. Now there is a small change. We don't have to actually print this pattern. It's different. So what's different? So we don't have to print increase this. So that goes right away. So increment and decrement is not there. You don't need to increase it. You don't need to decrease it. Okay. I guess you can run it for I by 2 minus 1, and you just need to print a let's check this one for 5. I'll explain this. I'll explain it. Don't worry. I'll explain this. Just that I did it a little bit quick. I did not explain the calculations. Let me just check. Right. It's going to 0 and then even going to minus. Did I not move minus minus? Oh, this one, right? So this calculation is not required to be done now. So we can just do this. So people. This go to print P. Okay, P is 1 1 1. So we start with 1, and then we start with P equals to 2. One number of equations minus 1, and then this is 9 to minus. Okay, it is equal to done. Let's submit this. Now this should be fine. Okay, let me explain the calculations. I guess that's the only part. Okay. So this was easier than that one, right? So what we did, I'll give you a break. Just let me complete this one. Then I'll explain the Optimus Prime questions, and we may start with functions. I can't guarantee functions today. Functions will start. Optimus Prime is the small question that will be done. We have already done Prime. Okay, let's look, right? So this is a lot about calculations and then anything else, right? So this pattern required a lot of thinking for calculations. Okay. So see what we are doing. So this is not this pattern actually. So if you do just print a few more lines, it will look something like this. So you have 1, then it is 1 1, then 1 2 1, and then in between all the values are nothing but 2. Okay. So 2 1. So it is 1 2 2 2 2 1 1 2 2 2. So if this is the pattern, then you can do it in even easier way. Okay, I'll tell you this. So you don't need to even break it into 2 loops or all these things. This is also not required. I'll show it in easier way. Let's skip this. This is also not needed. Just transfer, run it for I minus 2. I minus 2. Minus 2. Yes. ये तो बहुत इजी था, फिर तो ये इतना डिफिकल्ट था ही नहीं, ये तो फिर वो सेम रूल फॉलो करके हो जाएगा, राइट? देखो, लेट मी एक्सप्लेन दिस वन. दिस इज नॉट डिफिकल्ट. देखो ये बहुत इजी है, ये वाला पैटर्न तो स्पेसिफिकली इजी है. दैट पैटर्न वाज ट्रिकी वेयर वी हैव टू लाइक इंक्रीज इट एंड डिक्रीज इट. सो देयर वर 2 parts of this. Here there is only 1 part, right? See, so you are starting with I like so. Sorry, you start with 1. So every line is starting with 1 and every line is ending with 1, right? Every line starts with 1 and every row ends with 1. Okay. Only this is not only followed for the first row, right? Where I is equals to 1. Okay. So let's first handle this situation. So okay, so we are starting with number of rows is n, that is fixed. Okay, in each row we start with 1, so that is we print a 1, we print a single 1, and we end with 1, but this 1 we don't print always. Okay, when we are going to print only from row number 2, right? Row number 2 ends with 1, row number 1 does not end with 1. Row number 1 only has a single 1. Okay, so for row number 1, when I is equals to 1, we are going to get a single 1. When I equals to 2 or greater than equals to 2, from there we are going to get a 1 at the end as well. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Okay, 7 and so on. So if we are starting with 1, we are ending with a 1. That is, this ending 1 is there when I is greater than equals to 2. Okay, if I is equals to 1, we don't need to print the ending 1. Now, how many 2's that we have to print? So for each iteration, we have to print I minus 2 2's. So for example, here I minus 2 is 1, so we have print 1, 2. I minus 2 is 2, so we print 2 2's. I minus 2 is 3. I minus 3 is 4. I minus 3 is 5. So apart from 2 1's that we have printed, right? Apart from these 2 1's that we have printed, other values are nothing but 2. So you have to print I minus 2 2's. Now what's the number of 2's that we have to print for row number 1 and row number 2? 0. So will this loop run for that situation? No. I equals to 1, 1 minus 2 is minus 1, 2 minus 2 is 0. In both these situations, this loop is not going to run. So we are going to print only 1 1 in the first row. This is also not satisfied. In the second row, we print 1 1. The loop does not run. We print 1 1 from here. And from the third loop, we print a 1. Then we print this I minus 2 1 2 I minus 2 2's, that is 1 2, and then we print a 1 at the end. Understood? This is easy, clean. If you print one index from outside, this you print outside and you don't need to check this if here, then you need to run it for 1 n minus 1 time. That is also fine. Okay, to print a single one outside. Yes.
सर ये क्वेश्चन आप चैट में, ये कोड आप चैट में प्रिंट कर सकते हैं, एक बार सेंड कर सकते हैं?
मैं चैट
Thanks a lot, sir.
Yes. Okay, so this one was easier. The other question that I did, that was tricky. Chalo, I'll not explain that then. अगर वो है ही नहीं यहाँ पे, I'll explain it, but I want you all to do this. ठीक है, इसको I've pasted it in chat and I'll paste it over here. तो ये तो easy हो गया फिर. This one, the above one that we wrote was little bit not easy. So this was easy, which was 1. Sorry, we had 1, and then we had 1 1, then we had 1 2 1. We had 1 2 2 1. We have 1 2 2 2 1. So you just have to print I minus 2 2's, and then the starting and ending will be 1. Right? Only the first row does not have an ending 1, so that is just having a single 1. Second row has a starting 1, ending 1. From third row, it is I minus 2 2's and remaining are 1. You don't even need to check that. If this is I minus 2, it will automatically not run for I equals to 1, I equals to 2. This condition is going to be false. 1 less than equals to minus 1, 1 less than equals to 0, that is not going to run. So this is all anyways going to be false. Ajay, firstly, tell me, did you understand this pattern? Is this clear? Yes? No? Okay. Got a hint for Pascal's triangle. Yes, Pascal's triangle may you need to use the previous row, so that is the arrays question. So there you need an array to store the previous value. Okay.
Can you check this output in the chat that has given? So it's more easy, I think. So that one in the first and last one, if you're doing this.
So if you're checking if it is I equals to 1 or j equals to I, you are printing 1, else you're printing 2. That is also fine. Okay, that is also fine. We are not doing the calculation. Okay, that is also fine. Okay, that is also fine. You're not doing, you're avoiding this n minus I minus 2 2's, and you're like you have used if else inside this. Okay, that is also fine. Okay, I guess same kind of complexity. If else inside this. Okay, now this one was tricky. This one that we thought was the question. I actually assumed that this is the question. Okay, so that's why I don't make assumptions while doing questions. And it is there is one mistake that I can point out over here that I also did. Right. So every time you get a questions, right? So let's say interviewer gives you 4 lines. So you before writing the code, right, always confirm, sir, is this the 5th line? Is this the 5th line, or is this the 5th line, or is this the 5th line? Okay. And do one thing, I'll always tell you, interviewers generally say yes. So whatever you say, interviewer will say yes. Okay. So if you say interviewer, let's say, have not thought of, if he had thought of, then he is definitely going to tell, no, this is the line. You have to print it in this way. If you had not thought of what is going to be the next line, you can play from there, right? You can think of, you would like, you can tell this is the pattern, because you know that this is going to be easier. Don't directly tell that, okay, I want to print this because this is going to be tricky. Okay, and this one is going to be easy. So try to, if you want to ask questions, ask in such a direction that it will be easier for you to solve. And most of the times interviewers just say, yes, assume that this is the pattern you have to print. Yes, yeah, you can treat it in this way. Yes, you can print it that way. Most of the time interviewers tell it in this way. Okay, so it's always better that you ask the easier one, that is this the one that you are asking me to print? Even you know that there might be a difficult one, difficult variation of this. Okay, and now here, how is this difficult? It is not actually difficult, it is tricky to handle this +1 -1 scenario. Okay, there is a lot of edge cases where there is +1 -1 scenarios. Okay, now what is this +1 -1 scenario? So see, just look at here. So when I is equals to 1, right? I equals to 1, we have a single value. I equals to 2, we have two values. Now it's starting with 1 and ending with 1. Okay, we start with 1, we end with 1. I equals to 3, we start with 1, we end with 1, but we go to 2. So I've broken it into two parts. So this is the first part, 1, 2, and this is the second part. I equals to 4, we have two parts, 1, 2, and this is 2, 1. I equals to 5, we have two parts, 1, 2, 3, and 2, 1. So the extra, in the case of odd numbers, this extra value is in the first part. Okay. I equals to 6, it is 1, 2, 3, and then it is 3, 2, 1. So here there is evenly distributed. So it is 1, 2, 3, and 3, 2, 1. So that's fine. Okay. Now again, in case of odd, I equals to 7, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 2, 1. You can even like break it in equally. 1, 2, 3, and 3, 2, 1. 4 will be like, you can print it outside the loop. That is also fine. Okay. Now once you did this, like breaking it into two parts, however you want to break it, you need to. So there is like one similarity that you'll observe in this pattern and the other pattern, that this is an increasing pattern. Let's say you have a P, so it is increasing after every print, and if you have a P, it is decreasing after every print. So we print P, we increase it, we print P, we decrease it. Okay. So this is an increasing pattern, this is a decreasing pattern. Now the initial value of P is okay. So here the initial value P is always starting with 1. So that's what we know. Initial value P is starting with 1. We are increasing it, we are printing P. The only thing that we have to figure out, how many times we have to print. Okay. In the second loop, the initial value is actually varying. The initial value actually varies from it will vary from 2, 3, depending on what is the I value that you are on currently. Okay. So for example, it will always start with I by 2. See, for I equals to 3, it is starting with 1. Okay. 3 by 2 is 1. For 4, it is starting with 4 by 2, that is 2. For 5 by 2 is 2, so it's starting with 2. 6 by 2 is 3, so it's starting with 3. 7 by 2 is 3, starting with 3. Okay. So for odd situations like 7 by 2, it is starting with 3. For 6 by 2 is also starting with 3. So that automatically handles if we just do I by 2. So we got the starting point of, sorry. So do we need to do this calculation? We can just do it I by 2. If it is following this, we can do it I by 2. You can avoid this calculation, right? And it would still work. Yeah. So you are just starting with I by 2, whatever I is, right? You're just starting with I by 2. That's your value. Now, how many values you have to print? Just look at here. So, okay. Is it always I by 2, right? I'm sure, right? We say. Okay, let me just run it once so that I don't. Let's it out. Run this. Okay, that's fine, right? So this value is starting with I by 2 that we got. Okay, we have a value that is starting with I by 2, and the first value is starting with 1. Starting value mil gaya. Increasing part, decreasing part mil gaya. Whether we are increasing, whether we are decreasing. What's left to find? How many values we have to print in the increasing side? How many values we have to print in the decreasing side? Okay. So okay. Understood. First, tell me this part you all understood. Increasing part mein kitne values print, where it is increasing, where it is decreasing. How have I broken this into two parts? Okay. So I found the increasing part, I found the decreasing part, I found like how many like what's the starting value for the increasing sequence, what's the starting value for the decreasing sequence. Okay, both the parts we got. Now only thing that's left is to figure out how many values we have to print in each of these. So see here, what's the relation? So when it is like 3, we have to print 1 value. When it is 4, we have to print 2. When it is 5, we have to print 2. When it is 6, we have to print 3. 7, we have to print 3. It is same as I by 2. See, so if I is 3, we have to print only 1 value. If I is 4, we have to print 2 values. So it is I by 2. I by 2 just divided by 2. 5 by 2 is 2, so we have to print 2 values. 6 by 2 is 3, so we have to print 3 values. So for the second part, it is I by 2 values. Yes, so second part, second loop is going to run for I by 2. Okay, so you can just take a variable or you can just put I by 2, that is clear. So we got the starting point, we got the number of times we have to print it, we got like we know that we have to decrease it while printing it. Then what else is remaining? So we got the second part, increasing it by starting it by I by 2, running the loop till I by 2 times, printing each value and then decreasing it. Okay. Okay. What about the first part? So in the first part, so when I equals to 1, I equals to 2, and so on. So how many values we have to print over here? So here it is little bit tricky. Just look. So for I equals to 2, so for I equals to 1, we have to print only 1 value. For 2, we have to print, okay. For 1, we have only 1 value. For 2, we have 2 values. 1 value, right? 2, we have 1 value. 3, we have 2 values. So if it is only 1 for, okay, let's look. For 1, we have 1 values. For 2, we have 1 values. For 3, we have 2 values. For 4, we have 2 values. For 5, we have 3 values. Okay. How is this related? So let's try to find out for the even ones first. So even ones, it's I by 2. For 6, we have 3 values. So is it following I by 2? So for even ones, if it is divisible by 2, it is I by 2. Easy. Even ones is always I by 2. Odd ones, odd ke liye for 1 it's 1, for 3 it's 2, for 5 it's 3. So it is I by 2 plus 1. Just divided by 2 plus 1. Right? So I by 2 plus 1 is 1. I by 2 plus 1 is 2. I by 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay. So we got for odd ones it is I by 2 plus 1. For even ones it is I by 2. So we got the number of iterations we need to do for this loop. We have the starting value which is 1. We have to increase it by printing every time. Done. Clear? Okay, so I broke this into 2 patterns. The first pattern is, and we found out the starting value of each pattern, ending value of like how we want to change it, increase it by 1, and then how many times we have to print this, right? How many times you have to print it, like I by 2 plus 1 or something like that. And same goes for here, right? Here also we have the same thing. We found out the starting value, find out the ending value, and how we are going to change. Okay, clear? Understood? Let's give you a quick 15 minutes break. Go quickly have your dinner, come back. We'll start with function. Optimus Prime will solve, and then I'll give you a little bit idea about functions. Okay. Quickly come back.
Now, sir, I have a personal question.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, I didn't like this DSS so much. I'm very much interested into being like a front end. Like
the basic ones you have to understand, no matter if you want to understand front end, right? If you want to go for a front end role, that's also fine, but you need to know the basic one. Okay. So this is like a complicated question. Okay. So if you don't understand this kind of questions too well, it might be okay, but at least the basic ones like array, linked list, stack, use, all these things you have to understand, right? Because you will need them in front end as well. Trust me, wahan pe bhi use aayega.
Okay, no, sir. The thing is that I'm very worried about this because I'm 27 right now. I was doing some BDA sales job right back. Okay, and I've done some multiple degrees. So there's a time gap, like educational gap of 3 years when I passed out from class 12th. I was doing some aviation job right there in Indigo Airlines. Okay, so here now, like if I have this 3-year gap, okay, and I've left my job. So is it like when the front end jobs will come? So they'll ask so much typical type of questions of DSA.
They will ask you basics first, the basic questions. Now the gap is not a big problem. There are a lot of students who have gaps. Okay, so the companies they come with like those basically hire with AccuJob. They don't like necessarily see a lot of student background. There are companies which see it. ठीक है, but a lot of companies don't even bother because they know that you have gone through rigorous 6 months of training. You know, you have like done DSA questions, you have done front end, back end projects, so they know that they can like if there is anything else they can train you and you can be working with them, like you can contribute to the team. So that's what they want, right? So wo matter nahi karta gap wala first thing. Second one is DSA. If you're not liking it too much, try to practice it. Try to practice the easier ones. At least try to practice the easier ones. Get comfortable with easy questions.
Okay.
And once you are like very comfortable, try to do little bit of medium questions. That will be basically enough. Okay. Or if you are like very focused into dev, and then when the dev starts, you can do it. But basic DSA will anyways will there in any interview. Okay.
No, as you are from Microsoft, no, like it's one of the dream companies of many of the people. Okay.
So see, Microsoft is like very much focused for DSA for freshers, right? For experienced roles, right? Once you become experienced, let's say you have 2-3 years experience, 5 years experience, then they like DSA questions would be very easy that you would get in interviews, like literally very easy. You can like solve them right away. They would be very much focused about what your front end projects is, what was the project that you worked on in your previous team, what your front end things, you know, what the like dev things you know, and they will ask you very much depth question from there. Okay, so that's also fine. You can come at as an experience level, that is also fine. Okay.
No, जो चीज मैं आपसे पूछ रहा था ये है कि because I've left my job, huh? This is the only thing I have to earn my bread for my past future, like for my coming future, isn't it, sir?
Oh yes,
So
yes.
when I'll be sitting for this front end jobs because I'm trying for that only. Okay, so तो उसमें इतना ज़्यादा DSA पूछेंगे क्या? Because it really blows my mind. I have
फ्रंट एंड में थोड़ा कम रहेगा, लाइक देखो देयर आर कंपनीज जिनको डीएसए बहुत कम चाहिए होता है, ठीक है, सो दे नो कि अगर डेव बहुत अच्छे से आता है स्टूडेंट विल बी एबल टू डू, तो उतना देखते नहीं है. बट देयर आर कंपनीज जिनको चाहिए होता है कि मुझे ना ज्यादा क्लैरिटी नहीं है कि मुझे किस चीज पे अभी किस प्रोजेक्ट पे हायर करके स्टूडेंट को लाइक जो जिस भी पर्सन को हायर कर रहे हैं किस प्रोजेक्ट पे अलाइन करना है. प्रोजेक्ट वेरी होता है, ठीक है, फ्रॉम क्लाइंट टू क्लाइंट वेरी, और उसको पता है 6 मंथ बाद फिर नया प्रोजेक्ट आ जाएगा, स्टैक भी वेरी हो सकता है. तो चाहिए ऐसा पर्सन जो स्टैक सीख जाए, ठीक है, तो लॉजिक बिल्डिंग में थोड़ा फास्ट हो तो वो स्टैक जल्दी सीख जाएगा. ठीक है, इट्स जनरली कि अगर आपको डीएसए जल्दी समझ आता है तो आप किसी भी स्टैक को जल्दी सीख जाते हो. ठीक है, सो वैसी कंपनी और किसी कंपनी के पास खुद का प्रोडक्ट है तो उसका पास तो सेम स्टैक है, उसको रिएक्ट का डेवलपर चाहिए, उसको डीएसए बेसिक भी होगा तो भी चलेगा. ठीक है, सो वो कंपनी टू कंपनी वेरी करेगा, और वहां पे वैसा फिक्स नहीं है कि मुझे फ्रंट एंड के लिए जाना है तो ये कंपनी, हो सकता है किसी कंपनी आपको डीएसए मिले भी ना फ्रंट एंड रोल पे, किसी कंपनी में हो सकता है सिर्फ डीएसए ही मिले. ठीक है.
अच्छा सर, last thing I wanna ask, so because I'm taking your break time also, I'm so sorry for that. Sir, like क्या choose करना चाहिए? Front end choose करना चाहिए because मैं side by side भी देखता रहता हूँ HTML, CSS से सारी चीजें.
We will prepare you for the full stack role. ठीक है, देखो just knowing front end, just knowing back end is I'll say कि अच्छा you are focused on one thing, but full stack में you right now companies want कि थोड़ा सा full stack आता हो, even if they will want you to do only front end, but if you understand back end, your front end skills will be better, right? Because you know back end में कैसे code चलता है, so you know कि हाँ अच्छा this thing cannot be done with back end, this thing can be done. So little bit of additional knowledge is always beneficial, and that's why we train you. अब वहाँ पे you can pick कि मुझे ना HTML CSS आता है और मुझे front end ज़्यादा अच्छा लग रहा है, तो मैं front end बहुत अच्छे से करता हूँ. back end ना मुझे ठीक है, और मैं थोड़ा सा सीख जाता हूँ, मुझे समझ आ जाएगा बैकएंड में काम कैसे चलता है, मुझे करना नहीं. अगर इफ यू फील कि मुझे बैकएंड बहुत अच्छे से समझ आ रहा है, यहाँ पे तो मुझे यूआई का कोई काम नहीं, मुझे लॉजिक बिल्डिंग पे काम करना है. मेरा डीएसए मुझे अच्छा लग रहा था और मुझे यहाँ पे सिर्फ लॉजिक बिल्डिंग बनाना है, लॉजिक लिखना है, कोड लिखना है, और वहाँ पे कोई यूआई नहीं बनाना बैकएंड पे, तो मुझे वो पार्ट अच्छा लग रहा है, तो मैं बैकएंड को बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग कर लेता हूँ, और फ्रंट एंड वाला मुझे अगर डिसेंट सा भी आएगा तो भी चलेगा. ठीक है, सो दैट्स फाइन, राइट. सो और इफ यू फील कि मुझे दोनों करने, सो बहुत रेयर होता है किसी कंपनी में फुल स्टैक की यू आर रेस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर डूइंग बोथ फ्रंट एंड एंड बैक एंड, बहुत रेयर होता है. बट हाँ, फ्यू कंपनीज डू कि अगर कोई फीचर है, यू क्रिएट योर फ्रंट एंड, यू क्रिएट योर बैक एंड, यू ओन द फीचर कंप्लीटली, ऐसा भी करती है कंपनीज. सो देयर दे वांट कि फुल स्टैक आ जाए बंदा तो ज्यादा बेटर होगा. सो ठीक है, सो वहाँ पे लाइक फ्रंट एंड भी वो बेसिक ही पूछेगी, बैक एंड भी बहुत बेसिक ही पूछती है.
Okay, so this is the last question, sir. Like, if you want, you can answer this. Like working in Microsoft, no? On which role you are? Like, You are a UI developer or a like backend?
So see, at Microsoft they hire everything. Everyone is software developers. Okay. Now everyone is hired as a software developer, and internally you get to work on projects. You might even switch to from any role to any other role. Let's say you're working on a front end. You are working as a front end just on UI. You want to switch to up your backend role. You want to switch to up your concrete like a full stack kind of role. You want to go to a complete architecture or DevOps kind of role within not DevOps, right? Architecture kind of role or a cloud kind of code where you want to write. So there are operating system level code, right? So you can switch from within any team to any team. There is no restrictions. You can just apply to them. If you will, there is no interviews at all for internal switch. There is like career fairs that is organized regularly. So you
For
can
inside, like for inside only. For inside
for
employees only.
inside only. So they hire as a software developer. You can come as a UI developer. You can come as a backend developer. Like
But
internally,
sir, I have done BSc in mathematics and like I haven't done any technical degree.
my team doesn't have any computer science engineers, right? I guess there are only 3 to 4 people out of around 50-60 people who are computer science engineers. Rest all are like from civil. Someone is from. I even met persons from arts. Someone is from like electrical or different departments, mechanical. So your degree is like of least concern once you get experience, right? Experience आ जाएगा, skills आ जाएंगे, तो degree तो बहुत कम matter करेगा. If you write, let's say, like you will see experienced people resume, they don't even write what they have done in bachelor, because that's a wastage of their space in resume. They write what they worked on for 3 years, 4 years experience. If you worked on 3 years, 4 years on React or something, then it's good enough for Microsoft to think that you are a good UI developer if you clear the interviews, right?
Sir, I've seen your LinkedIn profile. It's so much like well maintained. No, I tried a lot, but it's a kind of hustle to doing that.
No, you can put all the things. At least your profile page should be something where you can like put all your details in an organized way so that everyone can see, right? So I'll tell you.
Then can we chat on LinkedIn, sir? I have some questions further. If you will get time.
Yes, you can send
Okay,
me.
thank you,
I'm
sir.
from mechanical. No, I'm from computer science, but I don't think your degree is going to be of any thing. Okay, Chalo, we have only 6
Okay.
minutes left. So quickly come back
Thank
from
you,
your
thank you,
break.
sir.
I'll take your doubts at the end. Okay.
Sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Welcome back. Okay, let's continue. Okay. So we have only one question that is left on this, that is Optimus Prime, right? We have done the question already. Right? And the question already kara, which is on the prime numbers. So only thing that is left is diamond question, right? All the others I've solved. So the diamond question that I've given you to solve today, and then yeah, we'll discuss it tomorrow. Apart from the diamond questions, all the other questions are done. Let's complete this Optimus Prime, and yeah, so you'll be done with all the questions on this. Okay, so what we have to do over here, see, so we have to find, again, I told you, right, the same question where you have to do a particular operation in a given range, right? So you already know that, okay, how to find a prime number. So how do we find a prime number? So I gave you the most optimal logic. So you write it, the loop from 2, you run the loop from I less than equals to square root of n, mat dot sqrt, and you run it for square root of n, and I do it I plus plus. Okay. Are you going to study functions? I'm also thinking, what do you all want, right? If you all want, you can stay till 2:30. 2:30 is fine. So we'll learn functions today. If it's going like to be too much, then I can give you a little bit off for Sunday. We can start fresh from tomorrow. So functions and whatever is tomorrow we'll cover. Functions 1.5 hours is way more than enough to cover it. There is only one concept that you need to know, that call by value, call by reference, which is asked in interviews as well. So yeah, that is one thing which I'll tell. I'll tell you tomorrow is better. So let's see. Let's complete this one and then I'll take your opinions. Okay, what you all want, we'll do that. Okay, so we have okay, we run the loop for square root of n. We check if n is divisible by I. If n percentage I double equals to 0, what we do is we increase the count and we break. Right? We don't need to check any further. And we check at the end if this is, if let's say if count is not equals to, so here we have to print, right? If count is equals to 0, that means this is prime. So you have to print the number, system dot out dot print ln n. Okay. So this is the logic to print the prime number, whether print the number if it is prime. Okay. Now, okay. So we all figured out, okay, how we can print the number if it is prime. What else? So we need to do it for a range, right? So what did I tell you to do it for a range? Just run the loop for the range. So your loop is going to run from 1 to n. Again, let's say the range is not n. Let's take this variable as k. So because we have already taken n. So I less than equals to k, I plus plus. Oh, this is I loop is already there. So let's take it j loop. J. Okay. This is the outer loop. This will, and all the logic, I'll put it inside this loop. Done. Now, what is my n? So my n is starting from this value and it is going to, it is varying, right? So our n is starting with this value. So which is, let's say I, sorry, let's take int n, which is equals to j. There was only one problem for this logic. Had only one problem, that for 1, it used to tell it as a prime number, whereas 1 is not a prime number. So just to avoid that, we are starting the loop by 2. Okay. This logic has only one problem, that it tells 1 is a prime number. Okay. So just to avoid that, I am starting the loop from 2. Apart from this, all the other cases, it would work fine. Let me pass it 10 and let's check. I think I have one more topic that's left to cover, which is math functions. So let's complete that today. Okay. After this question, C++. Oh, we have not taken count. You can use boolean for C as well. Yes, since C is like since you are only changing it once, so you can use boolean for C. You can make it false and you can check over here. Okay. Submit it. So in this question, if you run from 1 to n, then it was going to give you some error like time limit exceed. There, like ideally the time checks are not there in the initial question, but in this question particularly, someone has put the time check, right? Okay. So you have to write an optimal code that will be lesser lines of code, right? So I told you, right, this is better than running the loop from 1 to n or 1 to n minus 1, 2 to n minus 1 or n by 2. This is better than any other logic that you can write. So this is the best logic to find out prime, which is the least number of iterations, least number of next times we need to run the loop. Okay. There is even so we are checking n root n. There is even a order n approach that we can, sorry, there is, it's order n, no, it's n root n. Sivobirestosini also goes for n root n. Just that, is it n root n? The right n numbers to multiply it. No, that will be less than. Okay, I think it is n root n. N root n is same, right? It's same. I'll just verify. When we learn about arrays, I'll tell you another easier approach to find out this prime numbers in a range. But yeah, for now, this would work. Okay, so outer loop is running for the range. For each number, we are running the inner loop, that is 2 to square root of n. The logic that I explained yesterday, factors and cofactors. Right, so the factors for any number, there is going to be at least one factor from 2 to root n. If it is non-prime number, for prime number, there is not going to be any factor in anywhere, right, apart from 1 in itself. So if we find any factor, then it is non-prime, and for that we can check if it is non-prime. Then we can like print it. If it is prime, so if it is prime, we can print it. If it is non-prime, we don't need to do anything. Understood? Clear? Any doubts on this question? Clear. Okay. Okay. Now what else is remaining? Okay, let me complete the. Okay, so I guess then we have done with nested loops assignment. Okay. Can we allocate even numbers from the numbers? Yes, that is also we can do. You can check if the number is even. So in the logic that I wrote over here, right? So for example, the logic that I wrote over here is basically not going to. So for if the number is even, it is going to break in the first iteration of the loop itself, right? So you don't even need to check for even. It is anyways going to run for the loop for only one time. It is not going to run the loop for 2-3 times. So it is not going to be a problem because you have used a break. If you have not used a break, then it was a problem. But if you have used break, then it's also not a problem. Okay. So the last concept, so let's complete this math function. So this was on small concept that's remaining, and then I think we'll start fresh with functions tomorrow. This week, we'll learn functions, we'll have arrays. So we have a lot of things, functions, arrays, sub arrays. We have a lot of things this week. Maybe 2D arrays also we might have. 2D arrays is also there, I guess. So from the next class, right? The array is actual DSA. So you have done arrays, I know, in pre-course, but the arrays that you will do over here is very different from what you have done in pre-course. It's a lot different. Okay, the questions are very hard, like as compared to the pre-course, harder than the pre-course. There is a lot of memory concept that you need to know about arrays that we learn, right? There is a lot of array concept like 2 pointers, sub arrays, all those things were not covered in pre-course. So those we will learn. Okay, so there is a lot of things that we'll learn on arrays, and from next class, that's tomorrow, we'll start with actual DSA. But just we have one small topic, functions. We'll complete it. We'll go to array. Okay, so let's complete math functions. So for example, doing mathematical calculations, we have like some. The functions include classes, method. No. That is there in OOPS concept. That will be there in module 2. Classes, methods, overloading, overriding, constructors, static, right? All those things will be there. This keyword binding, object binding, all those things will be there in OOPS concept. Okay. If I would be there, I will take it, or any other instructors there, that will be there in second module. Okay. Okay. Last thing, math functions. So what is math functions? Math function is, so basically, in order to do mathematical calculation, right? So for example, let's say we want to find out square root of a number. Now we can do it square root of a number. Actually, we can find out square root of a number, but there is one small problem. What the problem is? So if you find out the square root of a number, okay, and so if you find out the square root of a number in the normal mathematical way, that's like a very complicated mathematical process, right? You want to like, for example, you'll write something like this. I don't even recall it, but I remember it is like this. You pair it up in pairs of 2s, and then you start with by 1 plus 1, it's 2. You get 1. So you add 1, 3, 4. Okay, then you take 2 into something like that, you add it over here and then you multiply it over here and do something like that. So complicated method to find out the square root, right? I don't even recall ki kaise tha. Something like this, it was there. I remember aisa kuch hi tha, something like this. And this is finally where you will get the value, right? So I guess it is 25. 25, 5 is 125, 5. So you add it, it becomes 30. You take 5 and it is 125. So it is 965. Now whatever value you'll take here, so it is 154 some 150. See, it is 3, right? So 153 point something. The square root of this is 153 point something. If you multiply 153 2 times, you'll get something in this range, and point something you'll try to get this, right? Now, do we need to do this actually? So actually, in order to avoid this calculation altogether, finding out square root, and then there are complicated things like logarithm, sine, cos, tan, trigonometric calculation, right? All those things will become even complicated. So you can avoid doing them and you can use math functions. What are the math functions that we have? So we have function to find out square root. So we have like math dot. This is something you don't need to import anything. You can directly use. There is no import or anything that is required. So the common ones I'll write. So you have math dot square root. Okay. Math dot sqrt. Math dot min, which gives you the minimum between two numbers. You can pass a and b. It gives you the minimum between two numbers. If you pass a, it gives you the square root of a. Similarly, you have math dot max, which gives you the maximum between two numbers. Okay. Then you have maths.abs. This is also something which we use regularly. ABS gives you the positive number. So math M is capital. For maths M is capital, rest all are small. Okay. Do using math function make the complexity high? No, actually, this is like order 1 function, so you can treat them as O1 functions. Okay, so this is normal mathematical calculations. So mathematical calculations, we treat them as order 1. Okay, so this is constant function that is not going to increase complexity. Okay, I'll talk about this, what is O complexity and how we calculate it, but yeah. Number, will it count the number itself? No. So I'll give you examples. Absolute value gives you the absolute value of something. So let me give you example. So for example, system dot out dot println, we have math dot sqrt. Okay. So square root is going to give you the number in decimal. So let's say if I just write 25 and I run it. So 25 is a perfect square. So what is the value that I'm going to get? I'm going to get 5.0. See, it is going to give you 0. The other one is pow. So this is also used. I'll give you a list of all of them. This is A, B. Okay. If you give it a number which is not a perfect square, so it is going to give you the decimal number. It is going to give you 5 point something. Yeah. So this is like up to a certain decimal point it is going to give you. If you multiply them, you are going to get probably like 29.99999 something. Not exactly 30. Okay, because 30 is not a perfect square, right? It always returns result in double. If you want to typecast it, you can use for typecasting. If you want to convert it, you can use typecasting, but it will result in double. Okay. There are 3 functions for this double manipulation. Okay, sorry. There are 3 functions for this double manipulation. And now you have like a function known as math.ceil, math.store. If you want to get the numbers from double, you want to convert it into something. B, and let's say math.round. It is. So what is the difference between like ceil, floor, and double? So let me show you this. So let's try to take a input like println math.ceil. Okay, and we have, let's say, 23 points. This, run this. Okay, so it is going to convert it to the higher value. See, what's the higher value? To 23 point something, it is going to give you the higher value, that is 24. Even if you have 0001, it is going to convert it to its higher value, that is 24. Ceil means ceiling, to the upper value, right? It is going to give you 24. Now floor is just the reverse. It's going to give you the floor value. So if you have this, it is going to give you 23, not 24. Okay, so it is going to give you 23. Even if you have as 99999, so even if you have it as 999, or this value is 999 point something 9, then also you are going to get it as 23. So what does floor does? Floor simply removes the like this part, decimal part gives you the smallest, right? Like the greatest value lesser than the number. Yes, greatest value lesser than a number, greatest integer that is lesser than a number, and seal gives you the greatest smallest value that is larger than the number. Okay, so we call it as this. So floor gives you the greatest value smaller, greatest integer smaller than the number. Okay. Greatest integer smaller than the number, मतलब जो सबसे बड़ा number है, which is just smaller than the number. And seal is like smallest integer greater than the number. Okay. I'll give examples of all, don't worry. Now, what is round? Round actually rounds off them. Okay, round is actually rounding of them. So if you want to round a particular number, not convert it to seal or floor, you want to just round it off. So here it is getting rounded off to this. So if you have something like 0.5 above 0.5, right? If it is 0.5 or above, it is going to get rounded off to 24. If it is lesser than 0.5, even it is 4.9, right? So this is lesser than 0.5, right? So it will get rounded off to 23. Like on normal round function works, right? How normal round function works. Okay. So this is seal, floor, and round, and how you can get like a value of a particular square root of a particular number. Then you can find out the minimum and maximum between two numbers. So for example, mat.min, this is going to give you the minimum between two numbers. So let's give it 10, 20. So it is going to tell you the minimum of them is 10. If I just give it as max, so it is going to tell me the maximum between both of them is 20. Okay. So min tells you the minimum, max tells you the maximum. Easy, clear? Okay. Now the last one is absolute. So absolute gives you the absolute value of a number. What is absolute value of a number? It is basically removing the negative sign. So if a number is positive, the absolute value of the number is same. So for example, for any positive number, you are going to get the same number. So for example, you put 100, you are going to get 100, right? No, in Java, it's not allowed to write more than 2 brackets. I'll tell you how you can write it. So for 100, it is 100. But if you give a negative value, it will convert it into positive. So for minus 100, it is 100. Okay. So the absolute value of minus 100 is 100 and 100 is also 100. Okay. Do you think how you can do this without this absolute function? Can you do this without absolute function? Let's say a is equal to something and you want to check if it is negative, you want to convert it into positive. You can simply do this using if else. If a is less than 0, how you can convert this into positive? If a is greater than 0, that's its absolute value is same. If it is less than 0, then you just do -1 into a, or you can do -a. That is also fine. -1 into a. Okay, done. Okay, so absolute one, you have a alternative, you can use this. Otherwise, you have the absolute function that you can use. Okay, you can use min, max, absolute. What is power? Power helps you find the power of a raised to the power y. Okay, so it helps you find the power println a raised to the power y. So mat.pow, and let's complete a comma b. So a comma b, it will help you find out a raised to the power b. So let's do it as 2 raised to the power 6. So 2 to the power 6 is 64. It is going to give you 64. Okay. Now the power is in decimal numbers. So it gives you the that in decimal. So if you have to convert it into integer, you can typecast it into integer. Okay. If you have to convert anything into other, you have typecasting that you can do anyways. So that you can use to convert it into integer. Dynamic programming. Are you all very much scared as we proceed? Tell me honestly. बहुत ज़्यादा डर लग रहा है. Problems are getting harder.
सर स्केयर्ड नहीं है सर. एक प्रॉब्लम को एक बार कर लेते हैं ना तो सर इजी हो जाता है और उसको सर चाह के भी भूल नहीं पाते. जैसे कि हम अपना नाम कभी नहीं भूलते.
I'll tell you one thing. So see, if you see a new question and you'll get the solution, that is not going to happen now. Okay, that is not going to happen as very soon as well. That's going to take time, and that's going to take a lot of time. Take 3 to 4 months practice, and then it will happen that okay, I give you a question, and then you will think, oh sir, ये तो ऐसे ऐसे करेंगे हो जाएगा, ठीक है. Then you will get the idea. Right now, no questions are going to strike. I'll be honest, right now, no questions are going to strike कि ये कैसे होगा. If it strikes, right, some question it strikes to you कि हाँ, this is something which you have done and this is similar, then that's good. You can see that okay, you are starting, your brain has started to think in that direction. But that is not going to come like very soon. What time lega? Keep on practicing, right? Every question treat it as different question. Try to think, try to come up with any logic that you can think of.
बट सर ये डर लगता है कि जैसे कि मान लीजिए कि मॉड्यूल 1 अच्छे से पूरा सब कर लिए, ठीक है, फिर सर मॉड्यूल 2 में चले गए, फिर मॉड्यूल 2 में जाके जब हम सर ऑप्टिमाइज करेंगे ना, मतलब तब सर जो बेसिक चीजें थी मॉड्यूल 1 की वो ना भूल जाए, ये डर लगता है कि
वो
भूल
कभी
ना
नहीं
जाए.
हो पाएगा, कभी नहीं हो पाएगा, right? You will never forget anything backwards in programming. That I can guarantee, right? Yeah, because everything is related. You cannot solve a question of like linked list stack use without using arrays or loops or if conditions, right? So you'll need them there as well. You'll need them forever. You cannot going forward, if you go to dynamic programming, you'll need arrays, loops, stacks, all the concepts that you learned, you'll need them there. So you can never forget what you learned in previous in programming, because everything is connected, right? When we'll solve arrays, we'll use loops. Without loops, we can't solve even a single question of array. So how can we forget loop? When we'll solve 2D arrays, we'll need two nested loops. We cannot solve anything. In arrays as well, we'll need nested loops. So we cannot forget any concept backwards. We can just learn new concepts. Okay, and don't worry, this thing will gradually come. Just keep on practicing. Just make a target. You have to solve 10 questions a day. That's it. Okay, make that target steep. If you are able to solve 10 questions right now, make it 15. Okay, I'll be solving 15. Okay, so that you challenge yourself. Later later when you will see harder questions, you might not be even able to solve 5. But if you keep that target 10, you will be able to at least solve 5. Okay, you keep 10 in mind, so you'll be able to at least solve 5 or 6. Right. You will not be able to. So when you learn words, you do not forget alphabets, right? So same thing is going to happen over here. Okay, now there are similar to this a lot of other mathematical functions, sine, cos, tan, that you might use or might not use. So there is a library. You can just type out math functions Java. You're going to get a list of functions that you have that you can use. Math.max, math.min, square root, absolute. That is math.random, that gives you a random number from 0 to 1. Acha. So this is interesting. This one is used a lot often. So let's say I give you a simple question to generate a random number from 0 to 1. So we'll say it's easy. So generating a random number from 0 to 1 is, you just need to write math.random. And this will give you a random number from 0 to 1. Yes. Okay, random number. What if I tell you to give me a random number from 1 to 100? How can you do that? One to 100, any mathematical thing, add parameters, no parameters. There is no parameter that this function takes. It always gives you 0 to 1 inclusive and 1 exclusive. No parameter, nothing. Say it works on mathematical calculation. Let's say your range is 1 to 100. Okay, so the smallest value you want to get is 1, largest value you want to get is 100. So you just need to multiply it by 100. Multiply it by 100. Now now it is going to actually give you a double number, right? It is going to give you 1 point, like 16 point something like that, right? So just convert it into integer after the multiplication, right? Not before the multiplication. After the multiplication, convert it into integer. You get the integer part of it. Okay, so every time you'll run, you'll get a random number from 1 to 100. 25 something. OTP generator works this way. Yes. So OTP generator works this way. They use random functions to generate a random digit number. So let's say you want a 4-digit number. So you take 10,000 or 5-digit OTP. So you take and this 5-digit. That gives you this 5-digit number. Why do we need random integer? Think of OTP, right? So you have to generate OTP. You have to send it to people while working code, right? While writing code. So each OTP is going to be different than the previous OTP. So that for those situations, you read random functions. Just a second, this page is hanging. I don't know why. Let me cross this one. It's loading. Chrome is very bad, right? Chrome keeps on loading forever. Okay, so this is used in places like generating random things, generating random unique ID, random value, or something like that. So you can do it. Unique, it does not generate unique, right? So it is like it might reoccur again. But yes, if you ever need random things, most likely OTP kind of scenarios, so there it works fine. Okay, and you can get it in a particular range as well. So let's say I give you, okay, so this was fine, give 1 to 100. What if I tell you to get this number, not 1 to 100, but from 100 to 200? What you can do to get it from 100 to 200? Now this gives you from 1 to 100, but what if I tell you to do from 100 to 200? What is the thing that you need to do? Okay, acha. When you will get 1 in this situation, when the number will give you like 0.01 is the random number generated, so you'll get 1. Okay. Achha. If you just add 100 to it, you'll get 100. Just add 100 to the result, you'll get everything now in the range of 100 to 200. It will not exceed 200 because this number is not going to exceed 100, right? It is at max going to be 99, so it is going to be in the range of 100 to 200. Understood? So you can use this to find any number in the range of 100 to 200. From 1 to 300. 1 to, so this is 100 to 200. Let me copy this. Paste it. Remove this. This is 1 to 100. Okay. Achha. Now question is 1 to 300. What about 300? So when you multiply it by 100, you get in that range of okay, now let's check what if it is 1 to 300. देखो, it is going to be multiplied by 100, right? 1 to 300 इसमें 100 से multiplication होगा, ठीक है? So that part is fixed. We are going to multiply it by 100. It is going to give us till 100. Okay. Now this is going to give us till 100. Now you have to add this 3 times actually. Okay. You have to add this 3 times. Or you can multiply it by 3. That is also one way. Multiply it by 3. Now, why multiply by 3? So let's say it gives 0. So you get 0, right? It can give 0. This random can give 0.00. So you get multiply by 100, you get 0. So that is 3. That you'll get 0. If it is giving you 0. something 00 something, you get 1. So you multiply it by 3, you get 3. Now, will you ever get 2 in this situation? 2 milega kabhi. So you might take you need to multiply it by 3 beforehand, right? So 3 se pehle multiply kar do. So now you will get it as 2 as well. Okay, so it is like 0. something. You multiply it by 3, it becomes 0.2 something, and you multiply it by 100, so you get 2 as well. Okay, so now this is going to give you in the range of 0 to 300. So you multiply it by 300, that works. Okay. Okay, so you got 54, 254. You can keep on running, you'll get a random number 288. Okay, now it will be in that range. So it is basically multiplication by 300. But if you think it like directly 300, it won't understand. But break it into multiplication by 100 and multiplication by 3, it's easy. Okay, understood? Random function. Now you can explore this, play around with this, generate random numbers in a particular given range you want. You have a list of math functions that you can use. It is going to give you random number from 0 to 1. That is fixed. It is not going to change 0 to 1. 0 point something, 1, 0.00 something. It is going to give you in that range. You can convert it into any other number. Now, this is like how it follows in any other language as well. So 0 into 0, 0 yoga. So 0 is fine, right? If it is from 0 to something. If you want to do it from 1 to something, so add 1. Agar 1 se karna hai, to fir add 1. When it gives 0, you'll add 1, so it will become 1. So the least value that you'll have is 1. So if you want to have a particular least value like 1 or 100, so just add it at the end. Right, so now it is 1 to 100. Okay, sorry, this is we have 1 to 100. Okay. Okay, so 1 to 100 is this, and here also 1 to 100 is you have to add it 1, right? Otherwise it is 0 to 100. So let me mark it as 0 to 100. How you can directly multiply it by 300? I'm just explaining it of why you how you can think it of. So directly multiply it by 300. That's also fine. Okay. Understood? Yes, no. Oh, I have not. Yes. Now you can play around with it, find numbers in a given range. You will be able to find it in any range. It is created in that way. Okay. Now there is a list of math function that you can see for your reference. So yeah, complete math methods, Java math methods. Okay, so this is a table that's there that you can use. Sine, cos, tan, radians, log, everything is there, right? Which you might even not need, but it is there. So the ones that you will need, I have mentioned here. So the ones that you will be needing, you will be using. The rest all are there. You can just Google up, you'll get this table, or I'm pasting it in chat. Okay. So this is the table and this is the code. So, clear? Yes, no, still doubts? So I pasted all the links in chat. Please keep it. Please copy it and keep it. Otherwise, when I end it, the links would get disappeared. Chalo. Thank you, everyone. See you all tomorrow. We'll start with functions. We'll start with arrays tomorrow. All the best. Solve assignments. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.